Find your pasta, no clue far from the land. Tottenham stranded in shadows, no man's land. Lost on the pitch, echoes in the night. Fans screaming loud, no end in sight. Shift the blame like drifting sand. Promises empty, no steady hand. Wandering clueless in the football mist. Wishing for a twist, but nightmares persist. Shift the blame like drifting sand. Promises empty, no steady hand. Wandering clueless in the football mist. Wishing for a twist, but nightmares persist. Where's the Leo we waited in vain? Pains us deeply every season the same. No direction, stumbling blind. Tottenham's lost its mind. Speechless, impressed, they're at the ground. No solutions, nowhere to be found. Fans thrown aside, hearts turned to stone. Stadium echoes a lonesome drone. Whispers in the air, they speak of change. Up on the horizon feels so strange. Question marks in every wayward pass. And close to future fading fast. Where's the Leo we waited in vain? Pains us deeply every season the same. No direction, stumbling blind. Tottenham's lost its mind. Where's the Leo we waited in vain? Pains us deeply every season the same. No direction, stumbling blind. Tottenham's lost its mind.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away? Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away?
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to Tottenham Away Monday night, the best place to be in town if you're a Spurs fan. If you're not a Spurs fan, we always welcome you as well. Thanks for joining us as always. 150 people in the chat already. Smash a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Before we begin tonight's show, before we get into it, I know you can't wait. We do need to once again repeat, in case you didn't watch the show yesterday, big up. Happy birthday to the mighty Glenn Hoddle, legend of the club, legend in the game. What a player. What a trophy winner. Proper Tottenham. Happy birthday to Glenn. It was yesterday, but we are going to say it again because maybe not everyone watched the show yesterday. Also, big up to Tom81 in the chat and Ron's dad, who also share the same birthday as Glenn Hoddle. So there you go.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, imagine that. What a birthday to have. Ian, you're pinging again. It's always Ian every week, isn't it? Ping, ping.
He's a popular boy, isn't he? He's a popular boy.
So his WhatsApp's going.
That's his missus saying, "Oi,
Yeah,
you're on a
where are
YouTube
you?
channel again."
And out.
Guys, in the chat tonight, we'll try and get through as many comments as we can. We've had a lot of comments the last couple of shows. It's really hard to get through all of them. We will try our best, so don't think we're ignoring you. And if anyone puts a super chat in, I will get round to it as the show goes on. Big up to Spartan 7, new channel member, and Huddersfield Town Fan TV channel member, 3 months. Thank you to both of you guys. Look, guys, this is an interesting one because last night we did our live match reaction show and we went into quite a lot. It's not as emotional now. I've had a night to sleep on it. a lot's happened today. We've got to listen to other channels and podcasters to see what's going on. I did a video earlier because I just feel vindicated about the whole conversation I tried to start earlier on in the season regarding where the transfer window was going to go off the back of Timo. Ten Hag has been sacked, and I find that interesting before we do the show tonight because Man United have won more trophies under Ten Hag in the last 2 years than Spurs have won in 25, and they've sacked him. Now, part of that scares me because, as I was saying to Ian and a few others, don't write off Man United in the Europa Cup, especially if they sack Ten Hag. And now they've done it, I'm worried. And it looks like they're going to sign Amarin as their new manager, who is very, very good. So let's see. I'm not going to suggest anything's going to happen this quickly at Man United, but it looks like they're going in the right direction with their new part ownership. But we'll get into that because I want to discuss the manager situation at Spurs because I think we do need to have a proper conversation about whether Ange being the manager is tenable going forward. But just briefly, guys, because you weren't all on the show yesterday, where are you at this morning off the back of that? Let's be honest, the worst performance we've seen this season, off the back of that 4-1 brilliant win off of West Ham. We've literally hit the self-destruct button the following week. JP, how are you feeling? Obviously, yesterday we were quite emotional, angry, fed up, same shit, different smell. Today, got to sleep on it. Where are you at with it?
It's really up and down, isn't it? It is literally a seesaw. There's no, I think one of the things that you look for, be it when you're constructing a team, when you're starting something off, and from Ange's perspective, I don't know how much it frustrates him or what, but you want that consistency, right? Irrespective of the level of players that you've got or whatever it is, you kind of want that consistency. And going from one game to having a blinding half against Brighton and having a blinding second half against West Ham and having a blinding no-offs against kind of like Palace to a point, you go like, I can't see the balance there, right? Because it doesn't make sense sometimes. And yes, you can go back to, I don't know, we played midweek, but there was only a couple of them played. Like in fairness, was a break the right thing for some of them? Should some of them have like still played midweek as well, just to keep that momentum going and stuff? It's a really frustrating one, and it is kind of a bitty season, isn't it? It's kind of been kind of start and stop and start and stop, but it's weird in a way because comparing it to last season, the way we started, it was almost like a full tilt, full speed ahead, and kind of we were flying in terms of results. And then a couple of injuries or whatever just totally pulled a rug on us. Whereas now we seem to have, we've maybe had one or two injuries here and there so far to start the season, but kind of like results wise, it's really been up and down. Frustrating as it is, it is just a pattern of ours for the last, I don't know, 20 years, 25 years.
Maz, we said on this channel that last season we only had one game a week. And this season, playing in Europe, playing in the Carabao Cup, rotating players, it's going to be different. This is the worst start to a league campaign now since 2008. At what point do you point the finger at the manager? Or can we keep doing that? Because a lot of fans say you can't keep blaming managers, can't keep sacking managers.
I pointed the finger at the manager in his first season in November time, didn't I? And I won't deviate from what I said back then and my analysis of him since then. I warned in that November period after the Chelsea result that everyone who has expectations that Spurs were going to have a good January transfer window, and then the following the coming up summer, which we obviously just gone for us, was going to be a great summer window, are massively deluded. And I warned everyone in that November period, did not expect any top class players to come into Spurs, especially with the history of Daniel Levy and especially with Ange Postecoglou. And I had a theory, didn't I, about why we signed the players that we did, how much of that was a bit of necessity and luck. And unfortunately, I think I was a little bit optimistic then because it's getting worse than what I initially predicted, because the players are actually getting worse now under Ange. So for me, the blame has always been on Ange, because I don't understand. Well, I do understand his tactics, but I think they're foolish. I think that he is way out of his depth. I thought that he was a good manager, and I remember saying in the first 10 games, we need to give this guy a chance. When he looks like a good manager. And let's be honest, you can't criticize a manager who's done so well in his first 10 games. You can only judge him on what he done at that point in time, but it quickly unraveled. And I said that he will probably be sacked by this Christmas time. Way back in November, before everything has played out the way it has in 2024. And I still kind of think that is the case. But I do also feel that for some reason, Daniel Levy's going to give him grace. And I can only conclude that he's going to give him grace because for Daniel Levy, he's the perfect manager. He's the ultimate yes man. And for some reason, the fans are giving Ange grace unjustifiably, whereas in the past they've handed and pushed managers out the door prematurely. So it is his fault. It's Ange's fault.
I mean,
Lee,
I know we'll
was
get
gonna
onto it, probably just kind of like go on with everyone else and stuff. But at some point, I want to ask all of us, and I don't know if you had this as a question. What will sacking him achieve?
A lot, JP.
In terms of what? Rinse
Well,
and repeat?
No.
1 minute. That is a question I want to come to, guys. I want to bring that one up.
Okay.
It's something I want to bring up because there's actually a section on it I want to show as well before we answer that question, because that is a big question that needs to be answered, which is why I said, are we getting to that point? Lee, I was going to come to you next, but I want to come to Ian only because of what Maz just said. Ian, if Levy gives Ange grace and we continue this up down mid-table business, even if we get kicked out of Europe as well, like let's throw that into the mix. Let's say we get kicked out of the quarterfinals and Ange gets grace. Does he deserve to be given grace, given how this season is looking and the way we are just 1 minute really good, 1 minute really shit? Or is that not what a lot of fans have been asking for? Don't sack managers. You've got to ride it out.
I'm torn between the Levy mantra of having to get top four. When you've got £600 million worth of debt, you've probably got close on £250,000 worth of amortised transfer fees still to pay over the next few years. Spurs have got to earn money. They've got to be not necessarily, as we've learnt, not winning, but they've got to be at the top table because they've got to be bringing in money, and the Champions League brings in that money. On the other hand, Levy has backed Ange better than probably any other manager who's been at the club. Ange wanted Johnson. He paid under 50 million for him. Ange wanted Solanke. He spent 57 million before add-ons. That is 105 million on those two. And then you look at all the other players that he wanted. He wanted Mickey. He was the first of the players. I'm not sure if Maddison was Ange's or whether it was Perisic. But everybody definitely, I know, since Van der Ven has been an Ange signing. So I think from from bits and pieces that I picked up, Levy's fed up with this whole revolving door with managers. And Ange is getting backed. So under normal circumstances, I would think, and it all depends on the fans, I think. If the fans start putting pressure on Levy and the heat's on him and people are screaming, get him out of our club at home matches, that's the one thing that they don't like. And they move quickly when that happens, as we saw with Nuno. And will he? I don't know. I honestly don't know. Under normal circumstances, I would say yes. I don't know where he goes after here, unless Staveley brings in Saudi money and they go after Eddie Howe. Apart from that, I don't know who else is there to get. My favourite a year ago or so was Nagelsmann, the summer before last. Nagelsmann, I was told, wanted his entire team in and everybody else out. So Levy moved on quickly to the next one. Ange was done a month before it was announced, I was told. So there weren't too many people. It wasn't like the car crash leading up to Nuno, where I think 8 or 9 people turned us down. And Ange has come in. Compared to Conte, it's small money that he's being paid. So it's perfect for Levy. I mean, you look at the transfer window. We had a net spend of 32 million this year. I think West Ham spent 150. Now, I'm not saying that spending big money automatically brings you success, and as we can see with West Ham, they're having problems. It doesn't. Money's got to be spent well, and it doesn't matter whether a player's 5 million or 80 million. He's got to be right for the club. But Ange is being backed. And I can't see, just looking at the second half with Brighton and yesterday, I cannot see the players have bought in like they did last season. I don't see it. There was, we got outfought yesterday. The team lose, we win, we draw, we lose, and it's always the way. But it's the way you lose. And yesterday was appalling. I mean, I just stood there during the second half. I was with a crowd of friends. I was meeting them after. I wanted to go after 65, 70 minutes. You could see there was no way we were going to get anything out of that game. It was just absolutely appalling. There was no, it is, and you're right, Mr. M is right. The whole thing is down.
So the question is, Ian, but the question is, should we sack him, or does he have to be given grace? Because this is the project. This is the process. Words that people like, these buzzwords that people like to use.
I don't rate him as a manager. I think he's intransigent. I think he's stubborn. I've said all along. I said from the Wolves game when we saw the team the Saturday after Chelsea last November, and he left Phillips out for Dyer, and he put Højbjerg at 10 instead of Lo Celso, and you looked at the replacements after the Chelsea disaster, and I just put my head in my hands. I thought, this guy just hasn't got a clue, and he doesn't. But you've got to bring someone in who's better. If you can do that, who's good enough for a proper long-term project, if there is one at Tottenham under this ownership.
Well, we're going to come to that as well about the next potential manager, because
that's the key. That's the key. Is there someone out there that's better?
Nope.
Well, we're going to get into that because, as the title of the show says, 3 Spurs con men. We need to discuss Levy and we need to discuss Lange, as well as Ange Postecoglou, which we're doing now, and other managers. Lee, the reason I want you to go last is because I want to ask you something, right?
Ooh.
If you look at if you look at there's a couple of comments here I saved specific for this, right? So this one here that says the usual excuse from delusional fans is it's only one game. What would we achieve by keeping him? And then James says, but what if we're riding out with the wrong manager, or is he the right manager? So these excuses or these possible ideas of is he the right manager, is he the wrong manager, are we backing the right horse? It's only one game. Lee, the thing is, it's not only one game, right?
Nope.
This is Ange's record. This is Ange's record so far. He's won 2 games in the Premier League against top 10 opposition since January 2024. He's won 3 away games in the Premier League all year, 10 months, that is. He's won 6 out of the last 14 games in the Prem. He's lost 50% of the Premier League games this season. Nuno, Maresca, Emre, Slot, Herzler are all doing better than Ange with less spent. This is Ange's record against Nuno Espirito Santo, okay? Nuno, played 10, won 5, drawn 0, lost 5, win rate 50%. Ange's record this season, played 9, won 4, drawn 1, lost 4, win rate 44%. And Ange's been in the job. This is his second season. That was Nuno only 10 games in, having spent 52 million. So my question to you, Lee, is essentially what that comment was. It's only one game. Lee, is it only one game, or is this now a fact? Is this now fact? Is this now?
I've been harping, Stel.
Tangible.
I've been harping on for weeks, right? It's not. It's a pattern. The pattern is very simple with Ange and this and his system and this team, and we saw it again yesterday, right? This Ange's system will only work consistently if you're gonna if you have Man City level players, right? When you've got let's just say a mediocre team or squad, because it quite clearly yesterday you showed we haven't got the depth either. It's a really, really simple plan, and I'm telling you now that match yesterday and what Glasner did against us is going to be very similar to, I think it was the first Wolves game last season, where everyone is now cottoned on to what it takes to beat Spurs. And it's very, very, very simple. Any team that turns up has confidence to put us under pressure. They know that we do not have the technical ability in our midfield or our defence to keep that ball. Keep the ball, keep the momentum going, keep the passing going. We make far too many mistakes. Teams make us make mistakes and they pounce on those and they get the goals that they need to beat us. And then we've got no plan B to counter that. Crystal Palace played it perfectly yesterday. I'm now at a point where I don't look forward to watching matches anymore because I can't call the outcomes until I see what team is going to turn up against us. I don't want to call the outcome. I could have sat here like we did after the West Ham game, who didn't put us under pressure. They let us play our game and we beat them. It's as simple as that. Crystal Palace, one of the worst teams in the Premier League this season, Glasner came with a plan. Very similar to what Wolves did last year. Basically, put us under pressure, make us make mistakes, nick a goal, and then just sit back because they know once they put everyone behind the ball, or if they're pressuring us from the front, they're just going to keep taking it off of us, or we're not going to score because we don't have the creative output. And then when Ange takes off, listen, I'll give him grace for one thing yesterday, and that was taking off Kulu, because Kulu was one challenge away.
He was
from
on
being
the
sent
edge,
off.
wasn't he?
Yeah, one more challenge and he was sent off. I think the referee gave him a couple more challenges than he actually deserved. But then when you take off all your creativity and then you replace it with people who are not creatively playmakers, you've got no plan B. Now that shows one or two things. Either he doesn't know how to counter when people counter his system, or we don't have the squad depth and we don't have any other creativity, which is what we're lacking. We've got too many defensively minded or box-to-box midfielders. We don't have enough creative players. And when you take both of them off, well, then you're left with absolutely nothing. So this isn't a one-game thing. This is a you can see it every game that we lose. You can see a pattern of what the other team are doing. And this is exactly the same as what happened last year in that bad run. I wouldn't be surprised if every manager sat up yesterday and went, oh, right, we're going to do what Crystal Palace did. Simple as that. Worst, they haven't named that was their first win in the season yesterday, wasn't it? Yet they can quite easily beat us. And I'm with Ian. I sat there watching it and I was like, I don't know how we get back into this game. I don't know how we score. And I was just like, this is how it's going to end up if they don't get another goal. I don't get it. Once we get ourselves into a hole, I don't see how we get ourselves out of that hole, and that's the problem.
Our away record is diabolical. As in, it's genuinely horrendous. I think some people I've heard people some people mention this as well. Ellie brought it up just a minute ago. Where was it here? Here's a stat was just pointed out that Ange's first 54 games is 29 wins. Pochettino was 28 at Spurs, and that was the season that we went on to challenge for the league title. I think there's two differences, though. One, when you look at the signings that Poch brought in and the way Poch was getting us to play, you could see something that made sense defensively and attacking-wise, whereas with Ange, it's just all attacking-wise. And secondly,
we've got holes all over the place still.
How long did that take?
Well, the first year he was there was a massive turnover of players.
Yeah. So it wasn't really done in 18 months, was it?
Well, no, it's the same time frame. What they're saying is, if you look at Poch a year and then 3 months in, and now Ange a year and 3 months in, Ange is actually doing better than Poch. But my argument is,
but in terms of style and what you're saying, that wasn't in 29 games. No.
With Poch, in Poch's first season, we were saying, like, where is this football going? Where's the football that he played at Southampton? And the second season, it clicked, which is the argument some people put forward. Like, we'll give Ange that time to let it click. But what I'm saying is, with Ange, I don't see that defensiveness that Poch's team brought. And the second point I wanted to bring up against Poch, and let's discuss it. Poch never spent £400 million. Like Ian said, this is the most backed manager in Spurs' history.
I think it's about 260 still, but it's still a lot of money. It's still a lot of money in 17 months, 16 months, 206, 250, 260 million.
Ian, I think Ange spent in 12 months what Poch spent in 5 years.
Yeah.
So
Poch wasn't back, was it?
Well, this is it.
Well, Poch was backed up to a certain point. I mean, he was allowed to.
League, really, isn't it?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was allowed to bring in players like Son. You know, he brought in Alderweireld. He did bring in Wanyama. I think wasn't Dembele one of his first signings?
No, Dembele was already there. Dembele went there with Lloris. He went there with Lloris in 2012.
Right.
Wanyama was there, wasn't he?
Wanyama was a Poch signing. I think that's right. The first major players that Poch bought was Sonny and Toby.
Yeah, and what I think if we compare in that respect, who has Ange brought in that has had the impact that those two players have had? And let's be honest, there isn't a player that's had an impact at all.
Van de Ven.
But this is the thing.
To a degree.
Ian.
To a degree.
I agree to a degree, but the statistics don't really back that up, because Andrew's record is not very good. And my theory on the signings of Vicario, Van de Ven and Maddison was necessity signings effectively by the club because of the problems that the club have found itself in from the aftermath of Jose, Nuno and Conte, whereby Lloris stayed at Spurs 2-3 seasons longer than he should have. And we absolutely needed to get a good goalkeeper in to replace him. And he was identified by Paratici beforehand, we found out. And we missed out on our primary target of Raya anyway. We absolutely were desperate for another central defender because we had Eric Dyer, Longley was gone, Davies was, well, we know what Davies is, right? And Sanchez was going to go because Sanchez lost his head, right? So that was an absolute necessity signing. And Maddison was, I think, was brought in to appease the fans because they knew Kane was going, right? And it was a perfect Levy signing because he's thinking, oh, brilliant. I can spend 40, 50 million, get Maddison in. He's going to be on nowhere near the wages that Kane is coming in. And I know the fans will love him because he's a flair
Big
type player.
name, England
Yeah,
player,
right.
blah,
So
blah.
is it really Ange? Did Ange really want those players? I'm just not sure. We've seen how Spurs behave now for so long. I'm not sure those players were like Ange coming in and saying, "Yep, I definitely want Vicario. I definitely want BDV. I definitely want Maddison." I can't see it.
There's a
Didn't-
difference
didn't
between
Guys,
Ange.
didn't
Kind of not
Pochettino
how
get
they-
to a cup final? Didn't we lose to Chelsea in a cup final?
We did.
In the first
Yeah,
season
we did.
of Poch?
Yeah, because he
Carabao
played
Cup.
Son
So
at
he-
left back, didn't he? Yeah.
No. That was a semi-final a few years later. In the first season, I'm sure we played
No,
a
that-
cup final.
Man-
We lost.
Man
No,
United.
that was the
was it?
final. Wasn't it?
We beat Chelsea in one, and we were beaten by Man United in another.
The
I
Man
know.
United
Well,
one was with Harry Redknapp. But Pochettino
Hmm.
in his first season, I'm sure he got to cup final because Harry Kane was at the club then, but not what he was. Because someone in the
I
comments
remember
correct
he played Son at
Could have
left,
been.
There we
Could
go,
have been
there we
the
go.
back.
final with Chelsea.
First season we lost to Chelsea in the FA Cup. I think it was the Carabao Cup, Ledukes.
It was.
Yeah.
It was whatever it was called then.
Yeah.
But
so
anyway,
even in the first season,
so the quality,
lost to a cup final.
and the big difference when you compare what Poch did to Ange is you could putting aside the quality of the football because that is a major factor as well, but the quality of Ange's signings are diabolical. I mean, like really bad, and it's getting worse as time is going on because the players' levels have dropped all dramatically since. Like Maddison is nowhere near what he was in those first 10 games. And even now where he's picked up a little bit of form, I still just don't think he's as good of a player as what we all think he is, or maybe even what his stats are even suggesting he is. Van der Ven in the last few games has had a dip. I hope that's temporary. Romero is I don't think he wants to be at Spurs, if I'm honest with you. That's the vibes I'm getting from Romero. Basuma. I mean, where's that Basuma from those first 10 games?
Can
Where
I
is
ask you
that
something,
player?
Namez? Can I ask you something? Do you think though? I've got a different take on what some of these players are feeling, and just to answer some of the comments about tactics and stuff like that. Did we get the tactics wrong yesterday? We only have one set of tactics. That's Ange's way, right? And it's
Yeah.
being found out again this season, like it was last season.
Yeah.
I'm some of the body language of these players seems to me like someone's just put a comment saying if Ange was to go, half of these players would leave. I don't think that's the case.
Not at all.
Some of the body language
They would
I'm
leave.
seeing
Not
is
at all.
that they're frustrated with playing the way they're being told to play and stick to that formula, and yet still coming up short against teams that we should, no disrespect to some of the teams we play, but we should be battering, and some of these teams in Europe and stuff like that as well. For me, I get the vibe that some of these players are actually done with this system. And if Ange was to walk or Ange was to be sacked or someone else brought in, I think you would see a different player if they're played differently in a different tactic
I'm
with a
glad
manager
you
that
raised
actually
that point.
adapts. Because I agree with you. I think Romero's already looking in the next shop window. I think he's already looking for his way out. But I
We
don't.
said that,
But
didn't we,
I
Mark?
also believe that he's fed up with the way that we're playing as well,
Yeah.
especially when we don't adapt. And I think that's going to be frustrating for any player when you're being you're being leashed and saying, no, stay, do this, and you've got to do it like this. This is how we play. Because listen, if I have to see either Van der Ven, Romero, or Vicario pass it back towards each other and then being pushed back without one of them just going, do you know what, I'm lumping up the field. That's it. I'm in danger. I'm lumping up the field. Consistently just sticking with it. I can't believe that's them players.
But
Can't
one
be them.
second,
show you
Stel.
something,
I just
Lee?
want to respond to Lee because
All right.
Lee, I'm really glad you raised that point, because was it not 3 or 4 games ago, maybe a little bit further, that where Ange said, I had to go into the dressing room and talk to the lads and say, look, we've got to stick to this. I know some of you may be wavering, but we've got to stick to this system and believe in it, right? That definitely, he said that in a press conference. And another thing as well is that his whole philosophy is based around the players sticking with that system, trusting in it, and then the results come. But what's happened is they've stuck with this system now for coming up to, well, in a month or two, it's going to be a year and a half, let's say, and they're not getting the results. So at which point, then the players with a bit of a brain will be like, hold on a minute, this actually ain't working now, Ange. Right, and that's why they've all of their heads are dropping, because they're like, how long do you want us to carry on like this?
But this is the thing, Maz. We know by the interview that, well, not an interview, but a video for anyone that didn't watch it that Maddison did on a completely unrelated channel. Basically, he told us what he's like. He's not a manager. He doesn't manage his players. He manages a team. And he manages a system. He doesn't even praise them individually when something goes wrong. Maddison said, he doesn't actually tell me I've done well. I just know I've done well. And like, well, how does that if you don't actually speak to the players? He basically doesn't turn. He's nowhere near the fitness training. He's nowhere near those fitness rooms when we see him training and stuff like that. They only ever see him when they go out onto the pitch. He is not a coach. He does not coach players. He manages a team with a system that he instills, that he expects those players to play and stick to it.
Was it in that interview, Lee, that he came out where was it Maddison that said Ange was saying to them you need to believe and stick with this system and trust me, it's going to work? Was it that interview?
I don't think it was that, because this was Maddison playing golf on another channel. But he was very interesting. If you don't, hold on, JP. Just before, if those of you hasn't seen it, because you might not have seen it because it's unrelated to football, if you want to go and watch what he said, go and look up Golf Life, which is Tubes and his brother and playing golf from Soccer AM. And they get footballers and all that kind of stuff to go and play golf with them. And Maddison did it about a month ago, and they did a whole segment in the middle where he just spoke about what's going on at Tottenham at the moment, the team, etc. Go and listen to what he says about Ange, and and everything will click. All of a sudden, everything will click. Sorry, JP,
you want to
on,
ask a question?
Right, yeah. So, just to ask both of you a question, as you were both talking about that. So, having played. This could be one of numerous games, but we played Palace away. So having 66% of the possession, 11 shots, and not scoring a goal away from home, is that a system's fault?
Say that again, JP, sorry?
So literally, we've had 66% possession in that game. We've had 11 shots away from home and not scored a goal. Is that the
Well, I
system's
think it's
fault?
both, JP. I think it's a combination of he's not signed. I don't think the team's very good.
3 shots were on target. The 6 are theirs. Their XG was higher. So,
all right, but
I've got big doubts about the quality of the squad, JP.
All this dominating players is crap. I'm sorry, dominating the possession and stuff.
When you watch that game back, though, it doesn't look like we had 66% of the possession, though. It doesn't look like we had.
We might have had 60% possession in our own box or our own half.
Yeah, I think it's that, Lee, because
still having 11 shots is a fair number
right,
of shots.
JP, right, this is my answer to it, okay? The season Leicester City won the league, they had 33% possession on average. So I think when we look at possession stats, we've got to look at it as
Possession's
what. Well, we've got to look at what we
matter
did
if
with the possession, isn't it? So what did we do with
you
the
have the
possession?
ball.
Watching yesterday, not much. In terms of the shots we took, other than hitting the post once, and I think their goalie made a half decent save, I don't remember us troubling them whatsoever. Yet I remember Vicario saving us twice with wonder saves, and two of their strikers, one Eze, one was someone else, completely scuffing a close range shot that any other half decent player would have at least got it on target. So I think the quality of their shots was better than ours. And, you know, I've noticed this. This is something that stems from our fan base. This is something that was put up on Twitter, right? And this isn't me calling out We Are Tottenham TV. I've seen this done by so many people. Spurs have got the highest XG and the lowest PPDA. PPDA is basically the quality of our press. The less passes the defense makes before you intercept the ball, the better the press. So we've got the best press in the league and the best XG and the highest possession. Ange ball. The problem is we are praising cherry-picked attacking metrics and ignoring results, ignoring final outcomes, ignoring the pattern of we keep losing games badly. Like Ian said at the start of the show, when we lose, it's a train wreck. It's not, freaking hell, last minute they nicked it off us. What a great game of football. It's Brighton destroyed us for 45 minutes. Crystal Palace bullied us. Newcastle sucker punched us with what we've been complaining about for years, the high line. Coventry dominated us. It's when it doesn't, when Ange ball doesn't work, it's catastrophic. There's no adjustment. There's no tinkering. There's no
The whole thing.
But just going back to my question, sorry, Ian, just going back to my question, is it the system that's at fault there? Is it his consistent way of wanting to play the system that's at fault there, having still made 11 chances and still had 11 shots, just because they've not been converted? It's more the players, right? The level of the player.
And his
No,
inability to
I don't
adapt,
think it is.
JP, and his inability to adapt. It's the quality of
Is that
player
what-
and his stubbornness.
If we go out and have 11 shots and we score 11 goals, we win a game, right?
Yeah, but if the other team's having 14 and they haven't won a game all season, that's quite concerning though as well, isn't it? We're getting that.
Can I come in on this?
Yeah, go.
Two of Palace's best
Good
players.
question, JP, by the way. It's a good question.
That's why I asked it.
First of all, to go back to yesterday's game, Palace have been missing Walton and Sarr, I think, for most matches, if not all, this season, and they're two of their best players, and they came back yesterday. So the whole team were lifted. It was a different side. You know, if those two guys had been playing, and Palace have been losing goals by the odd. They've been losing games by the odd goal. They wouldn't have been down there with 3 points from 8 games if those two had been playing, because they would have made a difference. Even if turning narrow defeats into draws, it would have been better. The problem yesterday, for me personally, and I've said all along, 2-5-3 is absolutely pointless. It's a system no one's ever played, and there's a reason for that.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And secondly, the players are soft. Palace came out and they wanted it and they bullied us. And, you know, Brighton came out second half and they wanted it a lot more than us. And the players just shrunk. They shrunk. That's 1.5 consecutive away games that we've just shrunk, and we've lost 4-0.
The argument with that, Ian, I would say, is that you keep going on about, oh, this is Ange wanted these players and he's been backed. He keeps going on about, I speak to players, and when I speak to them, I know that they're the type of player that wants to come and play for this club. But obviously then he's picking players with a lower mentality and desire of actually winning, right?
I actually think that this team is better than how they're playing, and they're better than their position. I just think the manager's clueless. The style's completely wrong.
Ian, can I ask you a question on that then? Right, I want to ask a specific question on that. So we didn't sign him. whether it's Ange didn't want him or the club weren't prepared to pay the fee, whatever it is, he never came to Spurs after everyone said he's coming to Spurs. Okay. Are any of these players better than Eze? Okay. I'm just going to go for a few. Ones that Ange brought in recently. Timo?
No.
Ange's choice?
Kulu, best player in the Premier League?
Already there.
I don't
think-
think you can count Kulu in this.
No, you can't.
Right, okay, fair enough. Graham Bergville? Have they
You can't
proven they're
even-
better than
You
Eze?
can't- Shall I tell you something? You cannot. Of course not. Eze's established. These are kids
Okay,
coming in.
so it's a no. So it's a no. Johnson?
That's a better comparison. The answer is no.
Solanke?
Different players, centre forwards. Eze's not a centre forward.
Would you rather have Solanke or Eze in your team if you could only sign
I'd
one?
rather have Eze. I'd rather have Eze.
So-
But
So
But
haven't
we
we
weren't-
just answered?
still-
So
still,
haven't
we
we just
weren't
answered the question of all the players
Yeah.
Ange has brought in? Right, the one we haven't is better than all of them.
yeah,
Yeah, but the comparison you're making is the position he plays is not the position we needed a player for.
Yeah,
JP,
but it's irrelevant.
I never
it's,
s-
it's,
I-
it's the
I never said-
quality of.
Yeah, it's the quality
Sorry,
of the player.
it's the quality of the. It's when you go through, and we've been proven with time and the results. When you go through player by player, Ange's squad, because he's overhauled, but effectively he's overhauled the whole squad, barring Romero, Bentancur, Kulu, and Son. Right?
no, there's a lot more, Maz. A lot more that are Paratici signings.
Like who?
Well, Ange started with Mickey van der Ven. Then it was Dragerson, Werner, and the signings this summer. All the rest were Paratici signings. They're all done. They're all done
Right, but-
before he joined. The
Okay,
Senior was coming.
okay,
Vicario
then it
was
makes-
coming. Udogie had already signed a year earlier.
Understood,
Um,
Ian. So then it makes my point even easier.
Yeah.
Which players, right, have we brought in for this squad from Ange that are actually any good? And I don't mean good as in, you know, they're good as in average. I mean good for us to be able to compete to where we should do as a club, i.e.,
Musa
top
Dembele,
six.
Luka Modric,
Yeah,
Berbatov,
right.
that kind of
And-
caliber of
and-
player.
Well,
it dawned on me, and this is why I raised it up last night, is that when you looked at the changes he made to try and change that game, Sarr, Werner, we had then Ritchie up front, we had Johnson, Solanke, and I'm thinking, what on earth is this?
It's
We've gone-
such a mishmash. isn't it,
Forget
of
about
rubbish.
Poch-
Poch's team. Let's
Maz,
forget about Poch's team. No, hold on, let me just make my point. Let's forget about Poch's team. We've gone from Keane, Defoe, right, to Richarlison, Solanke, right, and I'm just like, what is this rubbish that we've bought in?
I agree with
We're
Maz.
signing worse
I agree with
players when
Maz
we
on
had
this.
less money from before.
I agree with Mazia.
I'll give-
Solanke and Richarlison are not good enough.
I'll give you one example of what we were missing yesterday. If you think about the ball that Bergvall gave Werner when Werner went through on Thursday night, when he took off Maddison and Kulu, it was crying out for someone like Bergvall to put one of those balls in over the top for someone to run onto. But nothing.
I'll raise you, Ian. What about that ball where Mikey Moore beat a couple of players against AZ or whatever they're called, right? And outside of his right foot, he bent one in through ball. And what did we do with it? Nothing.
Johnson.
It was
Yeah.
Johnson.
Johnson,
Yeah,
wasn't
Brendan
it?
Johnson.
You know, but that's a £50 million player, for crying out loud, against
You know,
championship level opponents.
just one thing
Maz-
I haven't caveated yet, and I'm not going to say this. Absolutely no. Moore got nothing yesterday. No judge on him whatsoever
No
on his
service,
first
did
Premier
he?
League start, because he got no service whatsoever. Everything went down the right, and
Yeah.
everything got completely. You know, when you give it to a player that doesn't do what Moore does, and he doesn't try and take you on, there's no, there's no threat. Give it to Moore, and he wants to take it around players, but they just weren't servicing him. I felt really, really sorry for him yesterday. I hope that isn't a reflection on him and
Fans-
why people see him, because he just got absolutely nothing. He got
Lee,
didn't get
Fans
used.
said
nowhere near enough.
Solanke never got service either.
Oh, Slanky's sorry. All the matches I've watched him, I can still write down on my little finger exactly what he brings to this team, and that's piss all. He's offering
I've just got a couple of super chats.
Hold up, yeah, whatever.
I've just got a couple of super chats quickly because I've been sitting there for quite a while. Sorry, I haven't done them earlier, guys. Soul Boy, big up to you. He says, "Hello, boys. I'm sick of this fan base who really want Ange out, but keep saying I still back. But stop it. Just be honest. Ange is hanging himself. This fan base thinks it's intelligent to keep backing these clowns. So he's directing his frustrations towards Levy and Enoch there, in case no one understood that one. I agree with you, Soul Boy. They are. I think you'll find on this channel we firmly point the finger at them above anyone else. We just don't think Ange is the right guy. Well, some of us don't think that. Some do. Tim Man says fans are still backing Ange from the first 10 games last year. What progress have we made since then? Levy won't sack Ange until we've been knocked out of the Europa, and then it's Ryan Mason. If it's Ryan Mason, I expect riots. Thanks for the super chat, Tim Man. Tom81, channel member for 30 months. Happy birthday to you yesterday as well. Shares his birthday with Glenn Hoddle. Unbelievable.
Top man. But like Maz is saying, he had a defining moment of the weekend and he worked all that out, right? My defining moment for this weekend was doesn't fucking matter. Right? We all sit here and go, oh, it's Ange's fault, it's Ange's fault, it's Ange's fault, it's Ange's fault. Okay, well, that's Ange's fault. Let's get rid of him. Bring some other in the door person.
JP, let's have that chat. Okay. So I want to show you something. This is the league table. Man United are 14th. I've got to remove the banner at the bottom. There they are. Man United 14th. They've just sacked their manager. They are 2 points below us. 2 points. This is the team we battered 3-0. West Ham manager's under pressure, although he won on the weekend, so he's bought himself some life. West Ham, who we battered 4-1, are 2 points behind us. Above us are Fulham, Brentford, are Nottingham Forest, Nuno, who's lost one game all season, and beat Liverpool at Anfield, Brighton, Chelsea, Villa, and Arsenal. So when you say sack him, then what? I just want to put this forward as the conversation, right? This guy hasn't won a game all season, Glasner. Up pop Spurs, and he gets his first win of the season, and they deserved it. This manager was at Leicester City last season. He's come to Chelsea. He's never managed in the Premier League. He hasn't had the backing that Ange has had. Chelsea look a better team this season, and I found this message on the internet today where someone said the Chelsea coach has been there for only a few months and has had the team playing so much more consistently than Ange has got us playing in 15 plus months. Horrible to admit, but true. This guy here, Nuno,
is better than ours, though, right?
Well, last season there were the blue £1 billion bottle jobs, so clearly he's taken. Yeah, but JP, let me go through it all, then come in, because let's debate all of that. What we'll say is he's getting a tune out of a squad. Ange isn't getting the tune out of our squad, right? Nuno, he's above Spurs, losing one game all season, and he hasn't had the backing of Ange. Herzler, 32 years old, never managed in the Premier League. Not only did he beat Spurs, Brighton are 6, and they are 2 points off the Champions League. Man United, they've gone for a young, dynamic, forward-thinking manager who a lot of people in Europe have been talking about. All I'm saying is young. Nuno, you could say, okay, he's a bit older. There are better managers. Sorry, there are managers in the league doing a better job with Ange than with far less resources. As much as we blame Levy, as much as we blame Enoch, and we are Levy out, I am Enoch out, because they hired Ange, they hired Lange. They're the ones that put the formula in place of these transfer windows that, for me, don't suffice for what we need. Those teams above us, those managers are doing a better job. And quite a lot of them either haven't managed in the Premier League before, or we got rid of our club because they weren't good. So when you ask the question, what will getting rid of Ange do for us? Doesn't it depend who we bring in? Not to say he'll win us a trophy, but don't you think another manager, based on what we're seeing in the Premier League right now from other clubs, spending less money, don't you think another manager Does
tried
feel-
that.
Let
We've
me,
already tried that, right? We went 50, 60, 70 odd days trying to get a manager who wouldn't bloody come. Couldn't get a manager in the door.
JP, there are 19 other teams in the division that we play in, and all the owners are far more interested in footballing success than our owners.
Exactly.
That's the difference. It doesn't matter who you get in. You get listen. We had Conte, we had Jose. You got two serial
How
winners
is
there.
Nuno doing it, Ian? How is Nuno doing it at Nottingham Forest? Nobody wants to play them right now. Nobody wants to play Nottingham Forest.
He's
No.
probably getting the freedom to do what he wants to do with the squad, right?
Of course he is.
Squad,
As
JP.
opposed to
Look at
here,
the squad.
and
Look at the
I heard Ian saying Ange's got backed, right? Oh, he wanted Brendan Johnson. They went and got him. He wanted
Solanke.
what's his name up front? Slanky. They went and got him. And I then also feel on the other side of the hand, they're saying, but you have to have Odebert. You have to have Archie Gray because we think he's going to be a star for the future. You have to have Bergwell, right? So, oh yeah, you get kind of two pieces of ice cream, and then you get like three.
Yeah, but I mean, we've got to,
No
we've got
other
to
manager
really,
starts Timo Werner. No other manager that I
Yeah, but-
mentioned starts Timo Werner. I don't
Had-
we've
Still-
got to stop
still.
looking at it in this way, JP. Right? We have to stop looking
What
at
will
it in
change,
this way.
Maz? Okay, well,
Right.
what way?
I'll tell you
what
why
way, go on.
I'll get frustrated with this question. Right? Because when Conte left Spurs and he laid down the truth bomb that was that
Yeah.
10, 20 minutes of thing, the landscape of Tottenham Hotspur and then any manager that comes in after him, right, is now completely different. So when we say it doesn't matter what manager comes in, right, that they're going to get the same thing, you're correct, which is why we need to bring in a manager that is his own man and tells the board what they need to do,
But the
like
board-
Conte did,
who
like
hires
Jose
that
did,
manager,
and like
man?
Poch did.
Who hires
You
that
have
manager?
got
The
Maz.
board.
But
Maz,
how's that
but the-
relevant?
The
It's
board are not
irrelevant.
going to hire someone like that if they're going to stand up to them.
Well, exactly, and therefore, this is why the fan base needs to wake up, because when we look at it so simplistically, right, we're having the same discussions over and over again, and you can levy the same rebuttals, which is what you're doing again and again and again, right? We need to have a deeper discussion and say, right, we know that Levy hires the managers. We know that he's only going to hire a manager that he wants in. However, there has been occasions like Poch, like Jose, like Conte, who Levy hired, who told him this is what we need to do to win, right? And it's those managers that wake up the fan base when it goes wrong. If we have Ange coming in, right, it doesn't wake up the fan base. It makes them like zombies,
So
right?
we've
And they're
had
going into
three-
the same pattern again.
Okay, so we've had
No,
three
can I-
managers that have apparently
come in on
woken up
this,
the fan
JP?
base and nothing's happened, and we're
JP
back in the
finish.
same cycle.
Well, then we need more, JP.
Right.
That's the only thing we can
Yeah.
do.
Guys, forget the fan base. Let's talk about the mentality of the club. If this had been a proper, serious football club, they knew Kane was not going to sign and they weren't going to lose 85 million. And I don't blame them for that. No business is going to lose 85 million, knowing that he'll walk away for free in 12 months' time. A serious football club would have had a player lined up like Brighton do for every position. And whether it's Guy Carrez, whether it's Isak, whether it's Osimhen, whoever it was, there should have been 3 or 4 top targets that was going to come in and replace Kane. This is not a serious football club.
I'll tell you where I disagree with you slightly, Ian, is that if we were a serious football club, we would have got the players, we would have understood that we've got a superstar forward in our team.
Absolutely.
And
And they'd have built a team around him, JP.
to back him and make him not want to leave.
Of course. But that's never happened. That's never happened.
So going forward again, it's the same story, isn't it? It's rinse and repeat again. It's the same record.
Of course it is.
And
It's
that's where I
24
reckon
years
that's
now. It's 24 years. And we've
Yep.
we've had
Was
a
it three
Why
managers?
are we ignoring the 400 million pounds spent under Ange? Why are we pretending that hasn't happened?
Who's pretending it hasn't happened? It's spent on crap, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Ange has accepted that crap. He's facilitated it. We're pretending
Exactly.
that Ange didn't have a say in this.
He's got a free ride at the minute. He's got a free job with easy cash.
All right.
JP, the moment we've re-signed Timo Werner, Ange Lange should have gone, and the fans should have gone all out after Levy. But if you go across our fan base, go back and go. So someone the other day on. Do you know what I'm gonna? On our YouTube community section, someone posted, why do you say the fans backed Werner, Stelios? That's rubbish. They only backed the first time we signed Werner. Nobody defended the re-signing of Timo Werner. I sent him 5 links of videos and tweets from major Spurs accounts that have got thousands of people watching saying, talk to me now. No response. We as a fan base, we back it. And that facilitates the manager to continue accepting the failed operation. We support it.
Half the fan base are kind of with it, and the other half of the fan base blame the manager. And Mr. at the top there, he's due just by another 2 years.
They're one in the same thing, JP.
It's still
one in the same
We're
thing.
still accepting it, Maz.
Yeah, but that means they're accepting what Levy's doing.
What's asking for another head going to do? Make it kick the can down the road for another 2 years?
Because the reason, because he's rolling the dice again and hoping that we get a manager with an independent brain. Yeah, that's all we can do, JP.
I'm modestly fed up of hoping. Like, it's not going to change like this, and all this hoping.
Okay, so you'd rather keep Ange then, and rather him peddle Levy's propaganda down our ears every week.
At what point will the fan base break and say we need to make a stand against that guy up there because he's screwing our club? He screwed it for the last.
When we have a manager
years,
that can expose the leadership like Conte did and Jose did.
When? Sorry, in who? In Ange?
Huh? Sorry.
Yeah, but Maz, to be fair, Levy's not going to hire that kind of a guy again, is he? Though. Exactly. So no one's going to expose it because Levy won't let them in.
Right. So what do we? Okay, let's distill this down. Okay, so we keep Ange, right, and we get Levy propaganda for the next 3 years. Right.
Yep.
And we see this up and down mediocre mid-table football, right? Yep. And we continue to build this crap team, and you'll probably add to the crap team, right? Or we just roll the dice. I'd rather roll the dice. I'd rather play Russian roulette.
But at what point...
maybe he will stumble upon something.
Okay.
Because that's.
But my thing, Maz, is that if we carry on like this, at some point everyone must get on board with the fact that his club's going nowhere, as opposed to just being dangled another carrot and another dice and another manager to try and get everyone on board again, G up the half the other fan base and go, yeah, let's go again. Because now we've got another person who can maybe stand up to the board. And then after another 2 years, oh, guess what? He's actually not that person.
But that's going to happen anyway,
let's roll the dice again. And it's another 20 years down the line.
But that's going to happen anyway. But it's going to happen anyway. You were wasting years anyway.
Yeah, right now, I'd rather roll the dice on someone else to try and get a tune out of this squad right now than sit here and just watch the same thing unfold that we saw the second half of next season, right? I don't think the vast majority of the fan base this season will turn until we get to the point where potentially we don't get through in Europa and we're still sitting 11th or 10th in the Premier League, right? That's got to be the breaking point this season. And this whole Europa thing as well, guys, I have to say, from what I understand, we have to win 6 out of 8 games to guarantee that we go through to the next part. So far, we've played the 3 shit and we've got results, but we still need another 3 wins. And we've got 3 really hard teams coming up that I think, if you look at them, you compare them to Crystal Palace, they're much better than Crystal Palace. So I think if they turn up...
Rangers are, Lee. Liverpool went there and won 7-1. The Scottish League's
one of them then.
It's an appalling league.
Yeah, but we still got what? We've still got Galatasaray. I wouldn't put my money on us beating them. Well, we've got Roma.
Again, another
Oh,
tough.
again, I wouldn't. Oh, that's not a given. Nowhere near a given. Rangers, right? I'll give you that one. But then there's still who's the other one?
Elfsborg. I'll be disappointed. Elfsborg, Hoffenheim, Rangers. I'll be disappointed if we don't get 9 points out of those.
But we made such a. Let's be honest. The first 3 games, have they looked like Stonewall wins? Or did we play one team that we thought we should beat them 5 or 6-0? But in actual fact, they just turned up on the night. They couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. Otherwise, they should have had about 6 goals. I'm just saying, this Europa thing is not a given. It really isn't.
No, nothing's a given, Lee. I agree, nothing's a given. But I'll be disappointed from this point if we don't get there. A lot of teams,
be on edge.
Teams are going. Well, yes, teams are going to be playing each other. They'll be dropping points. But it's not
in that type of format anymore, is it? It's like a massive league, so you're not really playing the same people as everyone else. You can grab points from other places. It's all to do with how much you accumulate more than what other teams are doing.
It's the top 8 or top 10 or something lead that then just go into the knockout.
Why is Daniel Levy? Because I do want to bring him up. Why is he getting away with it again? Right,
always gets away with it.
This time. Why is he getting away with it so much? Let me tell you something. There's 2 things I heard today, and I just, when you just want to throw your mug at something, just to unleash. Okay, Lee McQueen on Last Word on Spurs, he said, we can't keep saying Levy out, we can't keep saying Ange out after every loss. We need to understand why this keeps happening.
Yep.
The fact that we don't say Levy out is why it keeps happening, right? The fact that you are telling people that we can't do something, which is the reason as to why this keeps happening, is at the core of the problem. And so many fans think like that. And to say, why does this keep happening? It's because you keep saying you refuse to say Levy out and get behind a campaign. That's why it keeps happening. And then I heard Henry Wright today on a debate show with lots of other fans. And what was great about this debate was there's a Man City fan who isn't your typical fan show pundit. Very articulate, very measured. He's a lawyer. When he talks, you listen because he knows how to use his words. And Henry Wright said, at some point, the managers have to change it. At some point, Levy has to change it. The owners have to change it. And then the Man City guy said to him, why? Why do they need to change it? And then Henry goes, because it's about winning trophies. It's about winning football. And the guy goes, you think that? They don't. Henry had no response. And that was the killer right there. That is a fan who doesn't support Tottenham saying to another Spurs fan, you want trophies. They don't. It's almost like, do you not get it yet? They will continue in their way.
Saying that.
But
still, as long as
fans have to tell him, right?
Hold on, JP. As long as this club prints money for Levy, he's going nowhere. End of story. Until it becomes not profitable and he wants to sell the place, as long as this place makes money, he's not going anywhere, mate. No businessman's going to give up a free cash machine. It's as simple as that.
But listen, I agree. It's not about them selling and leaving. For me, it's about
understanding.
It is about that. It is about that.
Hold on. Yes, because in order to do what you want him to achieve means he has to spend a lot of money, and I mean a lot of money on players, almost like a Man City level.
I don't think that's true anymore, Lee. I think he needs to spend his money better.
We've spent £400 million on 17 players.
Yeah.
What in the actual fuck?
Yeah, and that's the average prices that players are nowadays. Would you all say they're Man City level players? No, of course they're not.
No.
If you now want the level,
you missed my point. Lee, you missed my point. I think it went over your head. 400 million on 17 means we've spent a lot of money on too many players.
Yeah, no. I get that. Like we do every
7
year.
or 8 top players.
Quantity, not quality.
Why
do you think he's going to change that?
Cole Palmer and Neto have galvanised Chelsea. Those 2 players.
Why do you think he's going to change that? Why do you think he's going to drop 75 million on a player that potentially won't give him a return? Why do you think
But
he'd
Lee,
rather spend
this is-
30 or 40
but this
million
is-
pound on a grey
But
to
Lee,
try and
this
build
is
him
my
up and then
point,
sell him
and
on?
This is my point, and this is what I was trying to get across.
That's never going to
JT.
change.
Yeah, but this is what I'm trying to say. The only hope we have, right, is by having a manager that is willing to stand by his principles and tell the board and Levy what he wants. That's the only hope we have.
Like
And
Conte.
exactly. And off the back of that, the fan base can see the friction between the manager and the board, right? And hopefully that sparks something. I'm aware of the
So
history.
this is
I'm
actually
aware
more
that
about
the
getting movement behind the fans to change the view rather than
that's
actually
the
getting
only
Levy
way I
to
can
change.
see out of this, because we're having the same conversations again. We know what Levy's like. We know he's never going to change. We know that his spending habits. We know all of this. The only way I can see real change happening is if there's friction between the manager and the board.
I think this is a complete role reversal from what we were last year, Maz, because I'm telling you now, Levy doesn't care. End of story. He doesn't care.
Well,
He's the
he
most.
does.
He's most.
He does.
Maz, can I
Unless
ask-
you,
can I
unless
ask you
the
a question?
stadiums become empty, which is never going to happen because most of the fan base, a lot of the fan base are not into that kind of thing. They don't care. They just want to go for a lovely time. The hardcore old firm is what he's pushed out over the last 10 years. No one, it just will never happen.
Yeah, but okay,
I
so
want
let's
it to
pack
happen.
up then. We might
I
pack up.
disagree.
Let's stop
No,
saying
Maz,
disagree.
Spurs.
That's what I'm
Right?
saying.
No,
I
no. This is why
No,
I
I
think it's such a
disagree with this.
foolish thing to say. Like,
I disagree
okay,
with
if we know that it's never going to change, then why aren't the fans going on the streets and protesting then?
Good point,
That's
man.
true.
That's what I
Not
want.
the type of
Great
fan. We're not the
Great
type of
point.
fan.
And this is what I'm getting at. We need this. The fan base needs to wake up and do something,
That's what I want.
right?
Maz.
It's not the type of
Matt
fans.
Matt in the thing saying that's for the birds, right? If that is for the birds, then why the fuck are you supporting Spurs? You might as well give up. Go and support Man City for giving up on the club.
It's a family-friendly safe space.
Well, then that's the club then you want, isn't it? If you're not
Listen,
winning to
look, if this was Newcastle, if we were Newcastle fans, I'd absolutely agree, and we'd probably get a rally going tomorrow. Man United, I'd agree. Celtic, Rangers, I'd agree.
Liverpool, Everton.
Liverpool, I'd agree.
I
Tottenham,
don't know why you're telling me this stuff, Lee.
No.
Because
and
because
Stel
I-
hates that because Stel wants it, and I get
No.
that, and I know that
No.
is what we're trying to achieve.
Hold on, right?
To get the leverage, but it ain't. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm
Lee.
turning to Sava. I get what you want, but you ain't going to get it.
If that's not going to happen, then surely we're better off just rolling the dice every time. We might as well.
Right, I disagree with this. I disagree with this. When we had Conte and it was getting toxic, the protests got bigger. Online, it was everywhere. Fans were saying, "I hate this. I don't like this." Those that were leaving in or defending projects in the club, they were getting slaughtered, and they didn't like that environment. It pushed them away. So the strongest narrative was Levy out. You went in the stadium. We want Levy out. It was echoing, balloons on the pitch. It was building. It was building. The moment Daniel Levy's wife's, "It'll be okay, Daniel," he was shaken up. And I'll tell you why he was shaken up. Because that boardroom, those directors were saying, "Daniel, this is becoming untenable. This is becoming unsustainable." The media were on his case. Sky, Jamie Redknapp's, Jamie O'Hara. It was ramping up. He did the one thing that should never have been allowed. He moved Conte on and brought in Ange. And the whole fan base went from on the brink of forcing the guy out or making his position untenable, where the board of directors would have had to make some kind of decision. They went completely the other way and said, "Okay, sorted that problem out. We've got Ange now." The fans are culpable. The fans had a choice. Back Conte in his statement and demand this guy be backed and take us to glory, or turn on Conte and back Levy that he can turn it around. and the fans chose Levy. It's on the fans. So now, Lee, when fans want to criticize Ange, criticize the signing, I want to look at these fans, because where were you when we got to the point of where we could have actually done something? We completely backtracked, and for it now to get back to that,
you just proved my point.
Lee,
the mentality of the fan base is not going to change. This flip-flop fan base. They'll just go wherever the heading is of everyone else. They'll go.
But who drove that? It was the Ali Golds. It was the We Are Tottenham TV jumping on board. It was the last word on Spurs, the Chris Cowlins. It was the expression saying, "Yeah, no more fossil football." They are the ones that drove it. We didn't budge. We sat here saying, "No, what have we done? Back him, back Conte." We fought for Conte because we got it, and now we're in this position where we're beginning maybe to build up to a place where we've got a problem with the manager again, and we've got a problem with the recruitment again. And now instead of Hitchin or Paratici, we're looking at Lange, another one. And all along, Levy's getting away with it because the fans who are being peddled information that isn't against the board are going to end up getting this manager out instead of going after Levy.
Yeah, no,
manager.
exactly. I get it, because now you've got an unknown nobody. Don't disrespect to Ange, but it is what it is. He'll just do it again, bring someone else in.
Yep.
If any time was ripe to do it, you're absolutely right. It was when Conte was there. Now you've got to get that talisman type of person with the highest regard into the club again before I think you'll see the fan base turn. It won't be for Ange. It won't be for the next guy. It'll have to be someone like Conte. I think we've missed the boat on that one.
And I think the problem is no one at
Ange
that
will
level.
go. They'll bring another manager in. Not majority of the fan base will accept it. Oh, great move. Maybe this guy can do something, and it'll be a rinse and repeat. We're rinse and repeating.
Yep.
Lee, if the
No
fan
manager
base
of that
don't
level.
turn, JP,
It's on the
if
fan.
the fan base don't turn on, if you listen to Conte's rant, that interview at Southampton, listen to what he said. If the fan base don't turn then, if they don't turn 5 months later when Kane leaves, when are they ever going to turn? You got our best, one of the best 4 or 5.
The
One
man's
of the
not.
best 4 or 5 players in the history of the club, is leaving because he's got more ambition than the owners, and the fan base can't see it. They're blind. Though that percentage of the fan base who cannot see what's going on are completely blind. You're not gonna. They're lost. They're gone. They're not going to see it. If they can't see 24 years of what's gone on and how the other 5 clubs are winning trophies, have been winning trophies all the time that Enid's here. Okay, let's your 1-2
They
trophy.
don't care enough, Ian. Ian, they just don't care enough. Listen, I've where I live is a very heavily sided Spurs supported type of area where I am, right? A lot of the football coaches that I play with on a Friday night and when I was doing my coaching and stuff like that, it's massively one-sided towards Spurs fans. But I'm telling you now, the amount of them that I speak to, and they've been Spurs fans for, they're my age, say 20, 30, 40 years, whatever you want to call it, the amount of them that have no interest in this whatsoever is about, I'm the one person that when I start talking about what I do and what we do on these channels, they were like, "Oh, we had no idea. We had no idea that was going on. We just watch them on telly or go and watch them on a Saturday. I've got season tickets. We never know anything like this was going on." It's massive how much you don't realise that people just don't care. Even if it was to happen again, they're just not in that mindset. They're like, I'm not going. I don't want to process. Not interested. I just want to go and watch Spurs play. That's it.
Do you know what? If I'm walking out the grounds and we've just lost a home game to Arsenal, I'm gutted for 2 weeks. I'm seeing pictures because I wasn't at the game. I couldn't get to the game this season. I'm looking at pictures on social media of the fans in the bar for an hour and a half drinking after Spurs Arsenal. We just lost to them at home. And people are like drinking like they don't give a shit.
Do you know
I'm
what?
sorry,
Because we're accepting of it now. They've gone up to here.
Oh,
And we're still
Conditioned.
floating around
Correct.
here. We are
we're
accepting
discussing things that we already know. I
No,
don't understand why we're rehashing.
It's because we're
We know
discussing
what the-
Levy as one of the con men. We brought up
but-
Levy, so we've discussed
but
Adam.
Maz-
we're talking
yeah,
about Levy
but
now.
But Maz,
right,
that is literally the same as saying we'll roll the dice and we know what's going to happen again.
He is the
Yeah, but-
slipperiest
but-
rat. That guy must literally be soaked in oil, olive oil. He
Right.
must bathe in
And
olive oil because
what
he
I'm
just
saying
no matter
is-
what he does, he slips out of it. Something comes up or he does
He's got-
something, where he just slips out of it every
He's
time.
got a black belt in survival league. He's got a black
Yeah,
belt
yeah,
in
he's-
right.
survival
And what
league.
I'm saying is, knowing all
Number
of
one phone
everything
book,
that we do,
Ray Mears.
knowing everything that we do, what options do we have, right, to galvanize and turn some of these fans, right, against the board?
Okay. And that's
Right.
why I'm sticking with him, and that's why I'm at the end of my tether, Maz. I'm literally at the end of my tether. I don't know what else to literally try. Right, the only thing to literally try and expect now is let that team with that manager go as low as possible, and when will fans want to react to that? When?
Right, that's fair. Now you've said that, then
Right,
I
when?
understand that point of view. For me personally, I would rather him leave because I just don't like him as a manager. Right?
I'd
Okay.
rather try and salvage
Right.
something, Maz,
But
than
Yeah.
I
do
don't
that.
Yeah,
want my
right.
team to lose. Right?
However, if you believe that we're going to sink that low, right, then I'm with you because I think that in itself will cause a massive
I don't
chain
ever
reaction.
want my team to. I don't ever want my team to lose. I hate losing. Same as Ian, right? I literally hate getting a piss taken out of me by all friends, people ever. Oh, Tottenham lost again. Oh, Spursy. Oh, this. Oh, that. What have you won in the last 25 years? Blah blah blah. I've literally had enough of it up to here now. I've had it since I went to school across the ground
Well, that was
to
about
all the way
50 years ago,
now.
wasn't it?
Where I've frigging used Yesly is frigging long time ago to like now, and I'm kind of at the point of now. Do you know what? I've had enough. Keep that manager. But I'm backing him.
Do you know why I'm frustrated with him?
But you're not
'Cause
backing him,
we-
actually.
No, I'm
But you're not backing
No.
him, JP.
No,
But
Still,
the reason
John
why I'm
Jones-
frus-
I don't want
So,
to.
John George is
One
coming
minute,
here.
one minute. Let Lee finish, and then I'll do the John George one. I'll save it. I'll save the John George one. Go on, Lee. I'll come back to it.
This is why I'm getting so frustrated, because even within the last 10 years and Poch time and all this kind of stuff, I was accepting of what Tottenham were, and I was accepting that we are a good team that can go into a match and give anyone a good game, right? It doesn't matter if it was Man City, Chelsea, Arsenal, blah, 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 whatever. I always had a little spark of hope that we could go to that match and give them a good game. I'm at the position now where every match, I've got no idea what's going to happen. We're playing Crystal Palace. I've got no idea what's going to happen. We're playing West Ham. Actually, I'm thinking West Ham have got a good chance here. I don't know what to expect anymore, and that's what frustrates me more than anything. We've got to a position where we don't know how any result is really going to turn out until till the match is underway and it starts, and that is worrying for me. Because that doesn't give you an idea of how the rest of the season is going to pan out. And that's why I'm with Maz to say, look, I can see the patterns. The patterns are still reoccurring from last year. That didn't end well at the end of it. Yeah, he got fifth and he got into the Europa League, but it was a real slippery slope at the end of that season. If that pattern is starting to happen again and we start seeing the lower teams beat us, which is what we're expected to do to keep the consistency up and then do what we can against the top six, then I'd rather cut the rope, take a gamble on someone else, and I'd take Glasner tomorrow. He put a 3-5-2 out yesterday that I think that worked really well, and I think that system would work well with the players that we've got. I think we're still a bit short up front, but I'd rather take that risk rather than just watching it sit back and go, yeah, let's see this unfold like JP wants to. Fair enough, but for
what's
me
Glasner
personally,
done?
I'd rather
What's
not.
Glasner done the rest of this season?
Been unlucky because Eze and Walton has been out apparently. That's
Yeah,
it,
but
two
so we're
players.
basing it on the fact that he's done one good result against Tottenham this season.
Well, he won the Europa Cup with
It was a
Eintracht
flippant
Frankfurt.
copping. comment. I
No,
think
I
last
know, I
season-
know, I know, I know, I know.
Last season, when
think
he had
with a
Elise
more-
and Anderson at the back, he did completely turn around Crystal Palace's fortunes. But you're right, JP. This
So
season,
without
he
the
has been
star
under-
players at our club, he would be better, would he? The Josh that we've got,
I think
Timo Werner and
Glasner as a
stuff like that.
coach would
You're
set us
asking
up
him
better.
to suddenly come and rub
Yeah.
magic on them.
I just think with a manager that would
I think he
set
sets
up
us up
slightly
better.
different and be malleable and adapt, which I'm not seeing. I still don't see this whole West Ham. Oh God, he made the best substitution, whatever. I think that was just a fluke. I think that they could get a more consistent approach out of us rather than just going gung ho and hoping for the best, which is
He's
what
tried
I
that a
see.
few times.
Ange is just gung ho every game. Basically.
He's tried that
and
a couple
doesn't-
of times now, Lee,
Yeah.
isn't he? Like try and take Madison off and suddenly bring Sarr on and see if that magically
doesn't do
changes
anything.
the thing again.
doesn't do anything.
Look, do
but
we
yeah.
all agree?
Anyone
Do we all
can shut-
agree? Do we all agree when it comes to Ange? He's got one way, and it's that way. And if it's not that way, just keep doing that way. Do we all agree that we're now seeing that it is literally? I'll give you the best proof of this. This is the best proof, and this I don't think any fan, even those that back him and back Lange and Levy, can't. I don't think they can dispute this. You've got two strikers up front. Both possess an aerial threat. Both have got some physical attributes about them. Two up front. You're 1-0 down, 7 minutes to go, and we are trying to pass it out from the back.
No, you got one statement wrong there, Stel. They do not possess an aerial threat.
They possess
big-
more of a threat if we
they're
spend
big
it
lads
long than
when
trying to
they
play it
jump.
out from the
Our
back. with 7
standard
minutes
is
to
so
go.
low. Our standard is so low with those players now
Right,
that
Maz,
we think
Maz,
just
okay,
because
let
they
me
can
re-
head
let me-
the ball means they're an aerial
Right,
threat all
Let
of a
me
sudden.
let me rephrase it for you, right? Let me rephrase it just for you and no one else. Okay. We are 1-0 down against Palace. You've got Richarlison and Solanke up
We've got
front.
a couple of
You
big boys
need
up
a
front.
goal. You've taken off your two creative players, Kulu and Maddison. So if you were to get it forward, the ones that might create an opportunity are off the pitch. You've got two choices. Try and pass it around the back and see if you can get it into the midfield and then see where we go. Or send it up there and see if Solanke or Richarlison
See
might
if one
do
of the big
something.
boys can get on it.
Which of those two tactical choices would you make? What would you go with, Maz? And yeah, they're
I
shit.
don't,
Yeah, those players are shit.
if we had
No, which of those two choices,
even,
Maz?
I
No,
can't
it's
even
not, Maz.
answer it with a straight face because they're so bad that I can't see beyond how bad they are to make a decision. I'm like paralyzed by their shitness.
Maz, you've got two
like,
crap,
yeah,
you've
lump
got
the
two
ball
crap players
forward.
up front.
But I
Right,
agree,
and
lump
there
the
you
ball
go.
forward. But
And there you
but
go.
Richarlison
That's
has got the worst first touch and the worst second touch I've ever seen, right? And Solanke, I think,
What if he
does.
flicks it on into the path of Solanke, who takes a good first touch and maybe gets
Maybe
a
one
shot
of the
away?
defenders
What
will
if?
score for us.
Then Johnson will be on the end of it and still miss, or Timo Werner and still miss.
Here's something for you, right? When you go to St George's and you do your advanced coaching badges, this is what they say to you. They say the quickest way to goal is a long ball. If you want the ball to get from your goal to theirs, the quickest route is that way. The next quickest route is to pop it into the midfield, and the slowest route is to play it up and build it up from the back. Each has a benefit. If you play out from the back, you draw the opposition in and it creates space for you to then attack into their half. If you play it into midfield and there's space down the flanks, you can... If you've got a hold-up player, which everyone keeps saying, Solanke is a hold-up player. If you've got a hold-up player, send it long, right? So they explain why. In that scenario, I'm talking St. George's Park, UEFA B, that Ange would have done far more advanced coaching courses than this.
I agree. No, I agree with
knows
you,
it.
right?
Yesterday was a ball over.
He
the
could
top,
have
right?
mixed it up. He could have. You're right. He could have done a
He doesn't
what's his
ever
name? A
try
Tony
something
Pulis
different.
type tactic and just boot it up there. Send all your big boys up front. Mix it up, but we don't. And I think part of that is. I think one of the reasons why he almost doesn't do it is because our players are wimps. Like they're wimps. They really are wimps. Like who's going to win a header in our team?
So what did we achieve playing it out from the back? Getting
Nothing.
And can I
You're
say, They nearly
Well,
scored.
I'll
from
tell you
zone.
what we achieved: 66% possession.
Yeah.
Now shut up.
You
Look,
never
Ian,
sing
Ian,
that.
Ian's
You
very
never
quiet.
sing
Go on,
that.
Ian, tell us.
66%
Ian, look.
possession. You never sing that.
Ian, look, you were at Crystal Palace celebrating all the possession stats, cheering with all the fans about how good the possession is. I know you were there loving it, right? You know, hey, XG.
Come on, Ian.
XG.
Ian,
Okay.
you have to start singing to opposition fans. You never sing that. We got more
What?
possession. You never sing that.
We should get the old Claptons. Did you?
They're banned.
What were you? What were you? Yeah, a couple of vuvuzelas. What were you and the away fans thinking? Like, what you could hear fans shouting in the terraces? Were they saying to send it long, or were they just kind of shouting something else? What was the kind of instructions coming from the stands from the fans?
I think it was just major frustration. Just at
I'm talking about the last 7 minutes. I
don't go mental. You know, when Romero turned around and gave it back to Vicario, the place just was like, you know, it's like, oh, won't you go into the language that was used? Because, you know, it was appalling. It was just dreadful. We've got no idea. They'd have been better off. I mean, having said that, I thought, was it Lacroix and Macroix? I can't think of the guy. The other centre back, and Gahey, thought was superb. Absolutely superb yesterday. And do you know what? You needed a little bit of craft. You needed a bit of guile. Someone to unlock that defence. But the problem is that we build up so slowly that every team get their players behind the ball. They're set up. You've got 9-10 players in front of you. You know, Werner goes down. Werner beats his players. He beats every fullback he takes on. He just can't deliver. And that's probably one of the most frustrating things that I've been watching for the last few weeks. I mean, the Brighton manager hauled off the right back at half time because Werner had given him such a torrid time. He beat him every single occasion. And apart from the layoff to Maddison for the second goal, Werner blew every single opportunity that we had. I mean, that ball to Johnson in the first 20 seconds at Brighton. I mean, if he'd have given an accurate ball, we'd have been one up in no time. And it's just frustrating because he's the perfect player with his pace, and he's got football intelligence. He's got so much. I mean, Johnson could learn from the runs that Werner makes, because Johnson's just nowhere compared. You know, watch Werner and the runs that when he comes off players. You know, you can play.
I think most of the players are fed up, Ian, of putting Werner through one-on-one, and then he can't.
It's a joke. I think he's had 5 one-on-ones.
I can't. Do you know what? I can't. I cannot listen anymore to a commentator spouting this. Oh, it's just confidence with him.
Oh,
No, it's been 4
rubbish.
fucking years since he was great at Leipzig through Chelsea and then back there or whenever it was or wherever he was. How many years is this confidence thing gonna keep being an excuse? He's just not a good footballer. He's had, what is it now? I can't remember if I was listening to you the other day and I was trying to look this up, but I think this season alone, he's had at least 4 one-on-ones with the goalkeeper, and every single one of them, 5. No, I think it is 5, yeah. One-on-ones with the goalkeeper, clear through, and every single one of them, he's either put it straight into their hands. I think he's put them all straight into those. I thought he's hit them all straight at him. I can't remember one where he's put wide. I think that was last season. Just probability would say you'd score one of those. I mean,
does that mean he's getting better, Lee? Because he's not hitting the stands,
hitting the rose edge. Yeah. He's not hitting the person in the top last tier. Yeah. And do you know what else I've noticed as well? Is the sheer lack of power in our front forwards shooting abilities. The amount of chances that Solanke's had a few, and he's just he
They're so
tapped
used-
it towards the
they're-
goalkeeper.
They're so used to tap-ins that they've forgotten how to
Yeah,
like
they
shoot
forget
with
how to put
power.
the foot for it. I think Timo Werner's last one-on-one, right?
Oh
Go
my
back and
God.
watch this. Timo Werner's
my
last
God.
one-on-one through on the goalkeeper looked like he just
That's the
passed it
problem.
back to the
That's the
goalkeeper.
problem.
Yeah.
It looked like a pass back. He thought he was passing back to Vicario or something because it was so feeble. I think the goalie was just like, it's going to stop before it gets to me. I'm gonna
Still, it's
just
all that under
pick it up."
10s training that they do. They're just like drilled into them now. They've sort of forgotten how to play
Mate,
football.
when I saw that training session at Spurs, I used to do the exact same one with the under 10s. I was gobsmacked. I was
But they
genuinely
still do
gobsmacked
it.
while I was watching.
That's all you see in their training sessions. The same thing over and over again. And
Can I ask you something, by the way? Talking about training sessions, right? I showed something last night on the show, and I want to get your thoughts on it because one of the guys disagreed a bit, right? So I was saying that I really have question marks about just basic defending now. So when they scored their goal, Crystal Palace, I pointed out how Romero's on the ball and the two Crystal Palace strikers were split, and there's a clear pass there to Van der Ven. Van der Ven's facing Romero, so he's going to receive the ball on his
On the
feet
ground.
and then turn and drive forward, and you can see the space in front of Van der Ven outside the box. Instead, and this was what I thought was the first failure, Romero kicks it in the air. You can see the ball in the air. Now Van der Ven's got to judge the flight and weight of the pass. This puts him under a bit of pressure unnecessarily. Van der Ven makes the error of, which you never ever do in football in these situations, which is don't let the ball bounce. What does he do? He lets the ball bounce. He then misjudges the pace of the ball. It bounces, it flies past him, and it allows the Crystal Palace player to win possession and put a cross in. So Romero's messed up. Van der Ven's messed up. The ball then comes in, and you can see, I think it's Porro and Romero are in front of Eze and Mateta. We have got our defenders actually in the right position. But what needs to happen here is one of the two defenders needs to attack the ball. Go to it. Get ahead on it. Do a volley. Don't let it get behind you. What do? They don't attack the ball. Eze gets a fantastic flick on, and then Mateta's got a shot and goal, and they score. So I'm looking at Romero, Porro, Van der Ven. All of those errors are basic. Like, this isn't complicated now. This is simple. Don't let the ball bounce. Attack the ball. Put it on the ground, not in the air. Guys, do you think this is on Ange not coaching our players enough about defending, that their basic defensive skills are beginning to deteriorate? Or do you just think that maybe they're not as good as we thought, these defenders?
I disagree still. I think it's interesting, the last thing you said. If these boys are playing Premier League football, then they are of a certain standard. And yes,
Agreed.
they're human and they make mistakes. But there are mistakes and mistakes. And some of the mistakes we've been making this season are mistakes that you would see on Hackney Marshes on a Sunday morning.
That's my point. It's basic.
And they're poor. And listen, we don't set up correctly. We don't set up in with any defensive system. There's no method. We don't play like a normal side. You know, the fullback, the centre backs are under pressure the whole time. This whole thing. I mean, they are told. Vicario is told, pass square from a goal kick. That's what he's told to do. For me, you got Solanke who can hold the ball up. Hit Solanke straight away. Bring everybody up. Get the defenders out of the box, and launch it long towards Solanke. And Vicario is good enough with his feet to hit Solanke most of the time.
But Ian, this is exactly what you're saying. Is exactly what Stell at the beginning of all of this Ange Ball thing explained to us all, right? You play it out from the back, and when the pressure is coming in, then you look for that second ball over the top into the middle where your forward, in this case, back then it was Son, is coming in, and you're opening that space up. We don't seem to be doing that. We seem to be, no matter what, keep playing it along the floor. And that's what I can't. That's what's getting us frustrated when we play out from the back, and all of a sudden we're almost on our 6-yard box. As far as I'm concerned, that is a get rid of it right now. But Vicario just doesn't seem to want to do that. He seems to want to continue to make a pass to one of his defenders in front of him, or a midfielder, in situations and spaces where I think I can see it coming. I can see he's going to make that pass to that player who's got an opposition player 2 foot from him. That for me is a hospital pass, and it needs to stop. Just get rid of it. We can get back together, win the ball back. We're supposed to be this great team that wins possession back so quickly. Sometimes you just got to go, do you know what? Let's hoof it out. Let's get back into shape, press like we've been doing and we're so good at, and then win that ball back. Because we can't handle it. We don't have the players to keep playing the ball along the floor.
Lee, the one thing that Poch always said was you do not lose the ball in the final third, in our third, our defensive third. And they played accordingly.
Yeah.
You lose the ball you lose the ball 30 yards out, 25 yards out from goal, you're in trouble. You lose the ball in their third, you got time to regroup. Unless you're playing with fullbacks that are inverted and playing as 10s and playing past the midfield players, of course, which is why we're in trouble all the time.
But a lot of people see. Last week, I got told, I made a comment that we make too many mistakes, and someone else on the show said I don't agree with that. Blah blah blah. Here's my rebuttal. But I'm going back to my point I was making last week. We do make too many mistakes because going back to the system. They've had it drilled into them that they must play this way. Keep going at it. The rewards will come. But it's causing too many mistakes. I know we can call out individuals, but when you stick to a set of principles that are not working, but you think, oh, it will work, and it's not, that's where the players' frustrations come from. This is where it's all snowballing. You see what I'm coming from with this now, where the players are getting frustrated with it. I just think sometimes these players have got to say, do you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. I know he's drilled it into us, but we've got to start making decisions on the spot rather than just sticking to what we've been told. And that's why I think they're getting frustrated.
Lee, to play out from the back, to play 1-2s, to play in triangles, to beat that initial press that's on the edge of your area. You lose the ball, you're screwed.
Even Liverpool, you watched Liverpool playing yesterday. They give the ball to Alexander-Arnold and he finds a 30-yard, 40-yard pass just like that. I mean, we don't do that.
No,
we will
just
persist.
Arnie Slot is a much better manager than Ange. And I said when we were looking for a new manager, get Arnie Slot. I think he suits us. I think he's in our price range. I think it works for the Levy.
Wouldn't pay the money to buy him out of his contract.
It was that, plus I think he looked at Spurs and said, fuck that.
Yeah. I think he also may have used Spurs to get a better deal at Feyenoord as well.
Maybe, but that was a year later. Arnie Slot, his in-game management and his ability to be pragmatic for percentages of the game as well as be attacking is what Spurs need. We have no pragmatism. We've gone from ultra defensive Mourinho to ultra defensive counter-attacking Conte to completely attacking, no defending. And you'll see these stats of look at Spurs' defensive record, saying that we can't defend a myth. No. What is a myth is when we defend under pressure, like Lee said, when a team just puts pressure on us, we cannot defend. We haven't got a clue. What I said was basic. Romero, pass it on the ground. He goes high. Van de Ven, don't let the ball bounce. He lets it bounce. The ball's coming in. Attack the ball. Don't let the players behind you get a chance. They don't attack the ball. These are all basic. These aren't hard things. There's under 12 teams and under 14 teams out there that do this right, by the way. There's kids out there that know better than that. So
stick that picture back up still, like the actual first one, right? Now, what I will say is, from Romero's perspective, one, I don't think he even has to pass to Van der Ven, right? All that space in front of him, he can run into it. Surely he can pick a midfielder.
But
Why?
JP, my issue with this is
why
look
isn't-
how far away the midfielders are from
Right.
Romero.
That was going to be my second thing. Why isn't
Sorry, mate.
one of those midfielders? No. Why isn't one of those midfielders dropping in there to say, "Give me an easy pass"?
Well, look
Right,
at
that's
Bazuma's
num-
position. This
that's
is why I
number
don't think
two.
he's a 6.
That's number 2.
Yeah,
Number
that's
three-
actually Basuma's job in the way
Yeah.
Ange football's supposed to play. Basuma is supposed to shift.
Yeah. Now,
Basuma should be
just-
10 yards to the left or somewhere, not behind the player, man. That's just basic positional awareness.
The third thing I'll say is where he has, and fairly enough, Van der Ven's got a lot of space there, right? And while you're saying still that play the ball along the ground to him, isn't that the more riskier pass? If obviously, unless you get it spot on with pace and stuff, isn't the more riskier? Whereas one of those two forwards there, they could make a slide and actually stop that ball going across. By playing it up in the air, it takes both of those two forwards out of the way so that it gives Van der Ven a much less riskier pass.
I was
If you
always
play it
coached,
on the ground.
never play a
If you
square
play it
ball.
on the ground, the pace.
Ever.
One second. If you play it on the ground, the pace you drill it at.
You have to have the pace and the precision for it, right?
Yeah, but if you watch good teams, they make that pass. If you watch Man
Yeah.
City, if you watch a passer, they make that
I
pass
guess-
with ease. It's not an issue.
I guess what I'm saying is Romero has reduced the risk of those two intercepting the ball by playing it up the top and taking them out of it, but not expecting Van der
Yeah,
Ven
if he
not
missed-
to
if
be
he
able
It's
to
also
misplaces his
increasing the
pass-
risk, though.
If he misplaces his pass, you're right. If he misplaces his pass, they could intercept it. However, by dinking it in the air in your box, you are now creating a complication for Van der Ven.
Well, as kids.
But
like,
Van der Ven messed it up by letting it bounce. I
Yeah,
don't know why
I
he
mean-
let the ball bounce.
Football's
was
obviously
crazy.
changed since we were kids because I was always told don't frigging play the ball across the face of your goal.
Always,
That's
JP.
before. But guys, when we grew up, tiki taka wasn't a thing. Playing it out from the back wasn't a thing. Receiving the ball under pressure wasn't a thing. When you were a kid, you were told pass it into space.
Passing for
Nowadays,
us,
you go to
though,
academies, they teach players to receive the ball under pressure so that
our
they can
passing-
play
our passing still
in tight
is
areas.
crap.
The-
Our passing is
Sorry?
absolutely crap. Like
when we're
every
under
pass-
pressure, it is.
every pass
When we're
that
under
we make,
pressure, it is.
it's either blasted at a player. It makes it really hard for them, the receiving player, to control the ball. The weight of our passes are really not good at all. Basuma passes it too hard. Like Adogi passes the ball too hard.
I think it comes back down to what Lee said earlier, which is we're trying to play with like Man City, but we don't have Man City players, and it's true because the one thing a Man City player must have is the ability to receive the ball under pressure and not lose possession of it as an individual. That's when you got Iniesta and Xavi were masters of it, but they were coached as young players.
We had the best player. We had one of the best players in the world ever at doing
Dembele,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mr. Dembele.
absolutely.
Yeah. He was quality.
He was
man.
that kid
But-
at the school that always got the ball and no one could get it off of him.
But to be fair, so was Christian Eriksen, so was Harry Kane, so was Dele Alli at times. We had a lot of players like that. Now, I think Maddison's good at it. I think Maddison, when he drops deep, receives it under pressure, he can turn. He wins a lot of fouls. The issue is, I think Bentoncourt on his days definitely got it. The issue is, we don't have enough of them at Spurs, and we're trying to play a brand of football where if we are put under pressure, they buckle. They don't like the pressure. They don't like playing
What Conte says.
when the space is shut down.
Basuma's one of the worst at it.
Yeah.
Basuma could be one of those players, but he dilly-dallies on the ball too much and he loses it far too much. He puts himself under pressure by not being urgent enough. Same with Romero. Romero's
always-
so slow. I swear I've seen buses come quicker than Romero when he's coming out from the back.
It's almost for
It's
me,
that
Lee. He tries
drags.
to be like. It's almost like he tries to be like Dembele, like he can hold the ball and be strong and hold the player off and make little pivots and stuff. But kind of 8 out of 10 times he kind of loses the ball.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, I missed a couple of super chats here. Tony Rodriguez, channel member for the last 18 months. Big up, Tony. Big
Tony.
fan of the channel. Michael from Poland, who sometimes comes on the shows. This team pisses me off. The lack of consistency is mad. As soon as you want to back them, they kick you in the nuts. Pathetic against Crystal Palace FC. Solanke, big question mark. And Tommy Castillo says, did anyone notice Maddison's face when being subbed off? Are these players losing faith? Thoughts? Didn't someone touch on this earlier on?
Yeah, Lee, I think.
Maddison would be great at Man City. When the going gets tough, you don't see him. If there's a battle, you know, you're just not going to see him.
Ian, I think we're going back with Maddison. I think we are going back to what we were saying end of last season, early this season, is that Maddison on his day can open up and give you chances and be creative. We saw that at the first 10 games of the season last year, when everything was still sort of bedding in and people were getting it. Now we're into a system where we're drilled into it and this is how you play. I don't think it suits him. I really don't. Unless you get one of those teams that it's a halfway middle, right? It's a not putting us under pressure, but they're not sitting in a low block, sort of. But they're not as good as us, right? They're sort of we're almost like playing the same way as each other, but they're just not got the quality. And they allow us to play the ball around and allow us to make the passes, not put us under too much pressure. I think then he shines a bit more because he can find those passes when he picks it up, you know, in their half, and then play those passes through because there's space and stuff. But as soon as people either put pressure on it and we lose the ball, or they sit deep and there's no space for those passes, he just gets drowned out. He doesn't know what to do with it.
I don't think he hasn't got that football vision that someone like Ericsson used to have, where and I think Dan touched on it last night, where you know you pass the ball to Ericsson and Ericsson knows what he wants to do with the ball, and the players know what Ericsson's going to do with the ball, so it's almost telepathic. I don't think Maddison has that.
I agree, and I always say to people, listen, I'm not a Premier League footballer, but when I play football on a Friday night, if I do sometimes come out of goal, and we do get competitive, it's it's a load of mates, but we do get competitive, and I just say to the guys that are playing in midfield, listen, this is what I'm going to do. You don't have to think, just put that ball in that channel or that channel, I'm going to be there. It's second nature, and they do it. Whereas we just don't seem to communicate how we're trying to work things out, and no one seems to be on the same page.
It's like basic stuff, isn't it?
So disjointed. It's so disjointed, and I think that's what's getting frustrating with them. They don't really get how we're supposed to play.
Do you think that's because he's over drilled them? Like he's tried to get them to do his tactics and his formation so much that he's sapped all of their creativity and was lateral thinking out of them. It's almost like they never do anything different now. They do the same move.
It's the same
over
thing.
and over.
We do, Maz, we do the same thing every match. You can see it. We come out from the back, we passed it left or right a few times, realise that there's no one moving in the middle, we can't find a pass, and then we just go backwards. And it's the same thing over and over again. I watched other teams in other matches yesterday, and I was like, the first thing I think, how does Tottenham play against these guys, and how do we, the way we play, how do we get anything out of this game? And I'm sorry, against the top six, I don't see how we win a single game.
I got to tell you, Lee, we got this week. How are we going to break these teams down?
I heard someone say yesterday that the only chance we've got against City is if they put out their B team. I'm sorry to say this, guys, but City's B team are still better and better drilled to play the Man City way than our team are playing this Ange system right now. I don't care if they put out their B team. I think they still give us...
Sorry, go on.
No, you go. No, I'm done. I'm done. You, mate, you go.
What would you say to this question then, based on what you lot are saying? Big up to the Assassinator. If we're trying to play like Man City, but we don't have the players needed, should the club change for Ange, i.e. bring in the players Ange needs, as in Man City level players, or should Ange change for the club that he's accepted the job?
Who hired Ange?
Spurs.
Scott Munn.
So it should be A, right? If you bring a manager in knowing that that's his style of football, you have to give the manager the tools to play.
But I don't think we're playing like City though. I don't think we're
I don't
playing
think
like
we are
City.
either.
There's elements of it that you could maybe equate to the way City play, but I don't think we play anything like them.
No. I think
We-
going on
we
what Ian said
certainly-
earlier, we don't play a 2-5-3. We right at the beginning of this, we were playing a 2-3-5 because the wingers were so high up. I don't think the fullbacks. I don't think the fullbacks play as high up for Man City. I think they create additional people in the midfield, which allows the midfielders to push up. That's the difference.
I also
but
think
to answer that question,
is a lot more structured as well, Lee. Like the way they transition from
absolutely.
midfield to attack or defense.
Someone competent on the
midfield.
ball. Someone absolutely competent on the ball. And to answer that question, I'll answer it with a phrase. When you have two immovable objects and they collide, you're not going to get either the result that you want. You've got Levy who's not going to change and spend the money on the City players, and you've got Ange who's not going to change because he doesn't want to change his system. It's our way. This is what we've got to do. We've got to stick to it. So there's no way to answer that question because one of them or neither of them will budge.
I've just gone and brought up a quick screenshot, and I don't blame Romero or the players for what just happened at the back. I blame them. I do blame them, but I don't think that that Ange is not to blame. Check this out. So if you look at this screenshot, this is before Romero passed to Van de Ven. You can now see like this was the first one that I clipped that I put on the demonstration of what happened, but we can't see what's further up the line in front of Romero. This one shows you there's two QPR players and a midfielder. I think it's Kulu. So there's no pass up the line. There's no pass up the line available for Romero. And I can tell you, wait, 1 minute.
Still,
1 minute,
did I
Maz,
not
Maz,
say
Maz,
last night? Yeah.
One second, Maz. By all means, speak. In this situation, the players are coached to make that pass to Van de Ven. I'm telling you, they are coached to make that pass to Van de Ven. So what's happened there, right? What's happened there is Romero has done as he's been told.
But
other than
still, last night I said
he's done as he's
that,
been told. He's played the ball there.
Yeah, last night I said that one of the things that I find really frustrating with Andrew's system is that in those situations, Porro and Udogie almost are stuck between, do I now invert and go into the centre of the park, or do I stay out wide to give Romero or Van de Ven an outlet, right? And they get stuck in two minds. So sometimes they do it, sometimes they don't. Sometimes as well when we do this, Udogie and Porro are much higher up the pitch. So the only option that Romero's got is to make that square pass to Van de Ven, right? Because in those situations as well, Basuma's so slow to make the space to give him an outlet, right, that he has to make that pass. Whereas Bentancur, I think, is a little bit more intelligent and he makes the space a bit better than Basuma in those situations.
Look at that second picture, and that just proves my point about Basuma. The first picture I was saying, he's out of position. He's behind the player. Look at the second one. He's literally made the move, and he's still behind him. He should. Basuma right now should be in the D. He should be there, giving him another option to pass.
Correct,
but he's not.
He should be in the
he's
D.
still. He's
basically
tracked
I
the
agree.
Crystal Palace player.
I would disagree with that because I
think should be on the corner of the penalty area, giving him a 5 to 10 yard pass.
No,
he couldn't
Ian,
because he was behind the Crystal Palace
hold on,
player. The
hold on,
Crystal
guys,
Palace player had
One second. JP and Ian, you're correct. We see that the best thing is for Basuma to go over to that far touchline. However, the way Ange is set up, Basuma's meant to go into the D in that scenario. That's the way they're coached. That's exactly how they're doing it in the academy as well. That the Basuma should never go out to the touchline. The only player that ever goes to that touchline is who was playing right wing for us? Was it Johnson?
Johnson. Yeah.
Right. So Porro and Johnson should be there to create a 3-man overload. So it'd be Romero, Porro, Johnson should create a 3-man overload in case 2 players go.
Romero
Basuma
should
never be there.
Romero
Basuma,
should
the
have
way
a
they're
minimum.
coached, Basuma should be going into the D.
But that's
The way they're
that's
coached.
the level of in-game management that these guys need to take fucking responsibility for on that pitch.
Correct. I agree.
Bissouma, don't worry, get away from the man and give him the easy ball to play it to.
He's not a six.
I was
He should
always
be in that
told,
position.
Phil,
At the same time, Romero, in that situation, if Basuma hasn't got in position for Romero to make that ball and he's not
Get rid of
comfortable giving it to Van der Ven, yeah, he should just get rid of it. But they're not allowed to do that, JP. Let me tell you something. These Klopps, these Peps, these managers that play out the back football, they never want you to clear the ball, ever. The only time you clear the ball is if you're 1-0 up, 2-0 up, and there's 5 minutes to go, get rid of it. But in that early in the game, that early into a match, only 30 minutes in, then you're not going to find a coach saying, get rid of it, find the pass. That's what they do. I don't agree with it, but I know that's how they work.
What, just like
where
Arnold
Romero
did yesterday with Liverpool when he had the ball in that similar kind of position and he played it down the line because both Salah and Nunez were both on that side and they went through and scored. It's simple, isn't it? You've got all the Palace players up here, you play it in behind them.
That's where Romero.
You're telling
I
you
think-
Doji and Porro and everyone to get up there. Well, use them for crying out loud. But that's not what he wants. He wants it played along the floor. He wants it played in and out. And I don't get it, guys. I don't get the system.
My problem there again is going to be with Romero as a vice captain. Take frigging charge, right? What's he going to do? Drop you? Is he going to not pick you next game? No.
He's going to get bollocked.
You've got to defend your goal. What's more important?
I guarantee the coach will say to him, "No, I don't want that. Play it. Keep possession. Trust the philosophy. Trust what we've done in training." And that's basically what Romero's done. For me, it's the type of pass Romero played that began to cause the problem.
Yeah.
But I agree with you, JP. I agree with you. I would do what you say, but I know that's not what's being said in the club. None of them are saying, "Yeah, just."
Still, should be a minimum of 2 players, minimum of 2 players within 10 yards or 15, but giving the option of a pass.
It's supposed to be that.
Always.
They're coached to do that. They're coached to do that. They create a 3-man overload in the corner area, or they create a 3-man overload on the halfway line. So either the ball going here, we've got 3 players here, or it goes further up here. But in this picture, I can see that the way they're supposed to play, the players have not got in position for it.
He's got no one really to give it to, is he? You can play that risky ball to Bissouma, but
No,
if you're saying they're forced to do it, then he has to play that pass across to Van der Ven. And I think that's why he's reducing it by lifting it over those 2 attackers as opposed to playing it on the ground. But maybe he's told not to do that. Don't pass it on the ground.
I've got no idea, but do you know what? Part of me feels maybe they just need more time learning the system. The other part of me feels we haven't got the good enough players to play the system. And the other part of me feels like, do you know what? Just sometimes let the players have the freedom to just get rid of the ball and get rid of the panic. Just remove the panic.
Yeah, but
I'm torn between 3 ways of this.
Yeah,
I know,
how
as
long
I
do
know,
they need to learn the system?
I agree with you, Les. It's been 18 months.
It's been ages. I mean,
Yeah, but Maz, the players when they're on the pitch, they're in different places every time.
it's like they're all confused, JP.
It's your position and not listening.
Haven't got
But
the
you know
mental
what, though?
capability. They haven't got the mental capability to understand the tactics. That's a problem.
Even if Romero did clear it, let's be honest, we played shit. Van der Ven's lucky he never got a red card and they got a penalty, and we're lucky that their forward players missed every freaking opportunity. That goal that we gave to them, take that out of the game, we were dog shit the whole game. We weren't good at all in that game.
So again, still going back and the management or the manager having that assessment of be it himself, be it his tactics, be it his philosophy, whatever it is. At some point, does he have to or at what point does he stop and look back at the last 5 games and say, okay, I'm telling them to take risks at the back. This is the format and the play that I want them to do, But out of the last 5 games, we've conceded 6 goals because there's been mistakes there.
It's not just 5 games, is it?
Is it 7 games? Is it 8 games?
This was
Is it
happening at the
9
end of last
games?
season,
Yeah.
JP.
At what point does he then, as a manager himself, or you as a manager yourself, at what point do you look at that yourself and go, I kind of don't think that's working?
End of last season.
Well, I think he's deluded because when he did his post-match interview with the
Oh, yeah, he
BBC
doesn't
Match
do
of
it
the
like that,
Day,
does he? 'Cause everyone else does it.
when he was asked, look at the middle paragraph. He said it turned into a game they were thriving on, and we should have dealt with it better. It was a
Correct.
poor goal to concede. It had nothing to do with playing out from the back. Now, if
I beg to differ.
if you've conceded by playing out from the back, and the manager is saying it's got nothing to do with playing out from the back, that means you
I think
can't
he was
see it.
talking
JP.
about the stop and starts, wasn't he? Because he was complaining about like they kept stopping it and falling
JP.
down on the floor a lot.
He says their goal was a poor goal to concede. It had nothing to do with playing out from the back. He's talking about their goal.
The rest of it,
for
Phil.
context, Ian, just quickly, just for context, let's take last season out of the
I
equation.
don't think he sees it, JP. I don't think he gets.
Am I not right in thinking
It's weird.
that we sort of stem the flow of the conceding from corners or set pieces? We've actually eliminated the over the top high line
Counter-attacking goal.
balls, right? All
Yeah.
that's left of all the goals that we conceded is basically mistakes from playing out from the back.
Are you saying we're progressing, Lee?
Well, JP, you can call it progressing if you like, but then to come out and say it's nothing to do with it, just, you know what I mean? But what will happen is, Stel, you've put that quote. This is what I've noticed about Ange, and this is why it makes me laugh about the quotes and that we put up. He'll say something. We'll say, you can't say that, or that's wrong, or what are you talking about? And then he'll come out with another comment which says, well, but in the context of the way that I was saying it, I actually meant this. He's very good at twisting his own words when it fits the narrative for him. Like the whole, all these players are my players. I bought them all in. These are who I wanted, or something like that.
Or my second year.
Yeah, exactly. It's all it twists it afterwards. I said it, but what I actually meant was this, and it'll probably come out with something like that when someone reporter who's got a bear of balls, which doesn't seem to be a lot of them nowadays, will go, oh, you quoted this last week and said, oh, it's not about playing up from the back, but you look at all the goals you conceded, actually they're all from mistakes stemming from you playing out the back. And they go, well, I didn't mean it wasn't from playing out the back. What I actually meant was, mate, and that'll be it, and then we'll move on, and it will be fine. It's just, honestly, he talks absolute garbage. Anyway, rant over.
We shouldn't be having these conversations, man. This is like 24 year later.
Because he's not a good manager. That's why we're having these conversations.
Of someone's ownership.
Because
I've begged you a couple of times
and the restaurant's still shit.
to read out what you were sent, because that will make it all make sense to a lot of people when you look at it in context of his career before Tottenham. Please do that one day.
It's true, actually. Yeah.
What's that?
Do you remember
that email that was
sent
sent
an
to you?
email from one of the
read
Australian
it out?
fans? Yeah, because
read it
I
out.
think that really, really puts Ange into context when you actually, all of the things that we praise him or people praise him for, actually, when you look at it in the context of things, it doesn't put him in a great light. But anyway,
Guys,
I'll go to bed soon.
I'm going to need to find it because I've just gone into my phone.
yeah. I think that's
show.
I think that's a video for you to do on your own, because it's quite a long email, but it's really,
I'll do it on mine so I get all the
really
pelters. I'll do it on mine so I get all
exactly.
the hate.
Absolutely. That's throw it all at you, mate. Yeah.
But what you can say is, Lee said,
I like the way you've done that. I really think you should do it. I think it'd be really helpful, but do it by yourself. That's proper Levy maneuvers right there. That was a Levy move.
I'm oiling up as we speak. I'm slipping out. Woo!
The players all know the system by now. We've only brought in one new player into the first team that's playing regularly. The rest of the team was there last season.
Ian, let
It's
me
no
ask you a
different.
question then. Right? Let me ask you a question. Would you keep Ange, or would you bring back Poch, bring in Glasner,
Stop
bring in
there,
Maresca,
stop there.
bring
I'll
in
bring back
Hurstler? Wait, bring in
Pochettino.
Hurstler. You'd bring back Poch.
No
Or
question.
even Amorim, who's on his way to Man United. Would you? Is Ange better than any one of those managers, in your opinion, guys?
No.
So we're kind of answering the problem then. It's Ange is a big problem then at
It
Spurs.
doesn't matter who you bring
As
in.
much as Levy is
Still-
the biggest problem, and
Still,
Ian
let's
are
sum it up.
gonna be-
Let's sum it up. As far as
I
Ange is
know.
concerned. Still, we'll sum it up. Very simple. You've got a chairman who knows nothing about football, who brought in, because he doesn't know anything about football, doesn't bring in the right person. So he brings in Scott Munn, who's not a football man. And Scott Munn brings in Ange, who's not up to the job. It's just the blind leading the blind.
So he knows, so a chairman who knows nothing of football then decides to stand back a bit, and he brings in someone who doesn't know anything about football to take
Who's
that
going to
role.
take the heads off him? It's not hard to work out.
Sacked a lot of them, I say.
It's just a joke. It's just a joke.
I think you know, the hardest thing to get away from is when people say things like process, project, Rome wasn't built in a day, patience. When you see other managers doing more with less resources, achieving more with less resources in a shorter space of time, it's so difficult to listen to this narrative of project and time. That for me is the hardest bit. I could actually get on board with a project or a process and all these buzzwords if I didn't see Hurstler at Brighton above us, Maresca at Chelsea above us, Nuno at Forest above us, Ten Hag, who got sacked, only 2 points below us. If I wasn't looking at that and looking at how consistent the Brightons, the Villas, the Chelseas are, I could get on board with it. But when I see us so inconsistent, and when we lose, it's so bad. It's so bad. That's where I struggle with Ange. This is where and you know what? I actually wouldn't mind a change if it happened now. I really wouldn't. I couldn't care less.
I think what I would say is, like, and I don't. It'd be good to understand it from you guys. I get your guys' opinion. Is that at those teams, those managers, I would say that their football club, their chairman, probably brings them on board and says, "Listen, mate, like we don't have millions to spend, right? But this is the kind of we've seen what you do we've seen what you've done previously at clubs. We've seen the style of football you like. We'd like you to come in and get our team playing like that. If you need some players, let us know the type of player you need and stuff like that. But we'll try and get those type of players for you, but they're not going to be mega players, right?" So he's like, yeah, he's got a bit of freedom. He can do what he wants at that club, right? You can walk into Tottenham Hotspur and you say, yeah, okay, I'll be able to do all that. And then you'll get the club saying, but you have to have him because he's going to be one for the future. And we're going to spend 55 million on him, but play him if you want. But he's going to make a shitload of money later on. And we're going to give you him as well. And by the way, we're going to buy someone in January who you're not going to get now, but he'll come in January. And oh yeah, do you want anyone? Like we seem to get these managers to want to do what we want to do, or sorry, what the club wants them to do, as opposed to bringing someone in to manage the football team to do a football job. I think. I don't know what you guys think.
Stel, I found that thing. Do you want me to read some of this out as a little closure to the show? Because I think it's telling.
I want to say though, I actually agree with what JP just said there. I think that's spot on, JP.
Having a good day.
I think that's spot on.
No strategy, is there? There's no plan.
Did you just say I'm having a good day today?
Go on, JP. Give yourself a little smarty. Have a
Like
little packet of Haribo. That's it, mate.
Like it's a test. It's a test.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So basically, just for people watching, an Australian football fan who follows Spurs as well, he contacted me and told me some interesting facts not feelings, facts about Ange Postecoglou. And when you read it, you begin to see a different light as to what we've been told, right? So, Lee, read out the email that we received from this Australian football fan.
Yeah, I'm going to paraphrase some of this because it's quite long and a lot of it's
So Levy
bits and
Jr.
pieces in there. But anyway, let's go in. So straight to the point. So this guy basically said, I started following his progress at Celtic, and when the rumours started about him getting the Spurs job, I firstly thought he would struggle with the high levels required, and secondly, dollars. This is all to do about payout. He says, so the myth that the clap has spread, he wins everywhere he goes, isn't true. His failures are immense. His time with the youth Australian team resulted in 4 failed World Cup qualifying attempts. With Brisbane, didn't win a game in the Asian Champions League, whatever you want to call it. After Brisbane, Melbourne victory came calling, and they offered him more money. That's why he went off like a shot there. He won nothing, but got offered the Australian national team job. This is important. So he's always been praised about the World Cup and the Australian national team, right? Australia had already directly qualified for the World Cup when he joined. So Ange contributed 0 to getting to Brazil. Basically, some Donorais picked them as good at leading the games, blah, blah, blah. He said, when we got here, his style looked pretty, but it ended up with 3 losses and a goal difference of -6. The worst record of any Aussie coach. He isn't a real one, just has the accent. I think that's pointing back to the fact that he's Greek. Ever at a World Cup, and unlikely it will ever be beaten. He won the Asian Cup, the weakest it's probably ever been, as Japan and a lot of the Middle Eastern teams were crap. It was a home advantage in the summer. The crowds were packed out in the stadiums. An Australian manager would have won that, but Ange also had Serie A, EPL and EFL championship level players in the squad. Players that were better than any other players they had in any other teams that they played. He said qualifying for Moscow World Cup produced the most mediocre results. We had to go through the playoffs to get there. He copped plenty of stick about the playing style, and when the money offers came in from Japan, he was off again. And he said, and then he goes on to say, the SPL, the Big Frog, Little Frog League, where with 10 tadpoles, say no more. Anyone can win with Celtic with half a football brain. He didn't win a game in the in Champions League, basically. So he's basically painting a picture that everything that people have said that he achieved, he either didn't achieve it because it was already achieved, but when he took over, it was bad, or he had such high-level players compared to the opposition, i.e. like Celtic and like in the Asia Cup, that anyone could have won it. So what really has he actually achieved? It just paints a very different picture of him compared to the way that everyone makes him out.
Yeah, I think what's happened is, and you see it with our fan base. With Kulusevski, they said he's the best player in the Premier League because they cherry-picked 5 stats, 3 of which were bollocks, like acceleration. Give a shit, right? But when you look at all the metrics of midfielders, you actually find that Gravenberch comes top. And this season so far, there's 4 Man City players in the top 10. The only Spurs player in the top 10 is Maddison. But if you cherry pick, Kulu's actually really, 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 really good. And I think what's happened is we've cherry picked Ange's highlights and ignored the not so good bits. And we've just gone on the assumption like he wins everywhere.
That's
He
the
does
CV.
everywhere.
You don't put your shit bits on a CV, do you?
I think what he's telling is that no one is actually really coming out and defending Ange from a professional standpoint. So like his previous players and clubs, they said, yeah, now he's not doing very
Bryce
well.
from Australia has suggested this as well. I do remember Bryce has mentioned bits. So big up. And Bryce is Australian, so he knows as well.
Big up, Bryce.
Sorry, Maz.
I was just saying, like now things aren't going so great for him. Aside from some pundits saying, "Oh yeah, the football's much better," they're not really defending him in terms of like he's a great coach, he's going to win things and all of that. The only people that tend to do that are the as you said, the puppets that are Spurs fans that managed to get on some of the shows.
Yeah, the ones that pout their lips like that and put things like Tottenham till I die at the bottom of everything they tweet.
Yeah.
They're all over Twitter, by the way. When I used to be on Twitter, but I'm not there anymore.
I do that. Tottenham till I die.
Oh, I knew it. JP's the mole. I was wondering how
You were
certain
doing
people
so
find
well,
stuff out,
JP. You were having such a good night. Ruined it.
Look, I think it's fair to say that Ange isn't crap, right? He's not this dog shit manager. Far from it. He got us 5th. He's won all his games in Europe so far. No, my point is he's capable, but he is not the level of what the competition of that top 6 is about. He's not that level. And that's what it comes down to. How can we progress if we haven't got a manager of that level? And then as for the signings,
so as a side
Levy,
question,
have
as a side
taken the
question,
piss and
still,
managers towed the line of it and said, yeah, it's on me. So
as a side question, knowing that we can't get in the top 6, or we're not really that point yet, if we had a good opportunity of winning the Europa, that would be a successful season, right?
if we win a trophy this year, I will take everything back on Ange. If we win a trophy this year, I've said that with every manager, though.
Clip it.
I've said that. I've said it because at the end of the day, whether I think he's good or not, I can't come on these shows and say, but Ten Hag's won more trophies than Spurs have in 20 years. And then when our manager does something like that, I go and dunk on him and say, what a joke, what a clap. If Ange Postecoglou wins a trophy, he would have done what only Juan de Ramos has done in the last 20 years, 25 years.
Juan de Ramos
How can I possibly... Mate, he won us that trophy. He beat Chelsea in that final.
But was he good? That's
square.
not my question. Was he good?
He was good enough. He was good enough to win a trophy, yes. And he had a history of doing it in Spain.
Maz, he was more successful than Conte, Mourinho, Pochettino.
Fair. No, that's fair. I'm just trying to give a slightly different.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one to swallow for me as well, Maz, saying that. Believe me, it hurts me to admit that. But
look, if he wins and he proves us wrong, then more power to him. I love for him.
It's kind of what we want.
If he wins the Rumbelows fucking Curry's mediocre cup, I don't think that proves anything. I really don't.
But he's done something that I've been screaming for that I want as a fan. He would have done something that I'm screaming for. But I don't think he's going to win a trophy, mate. I don't think he will. Not this squad. These up and down performances. I don't see.
Right, I have a question for Ian. Ian, what do you want to happen? What do you want to happen from now until the end of the season?
What's happened there?
What do I want us to happen? What is Spurs to
as in, what do you want to happen to Ange? Or is there another scenario that you want to play out from now until the end of the season? Because you haven't actually said what you want.
If we're going to get somebody better, bring him in. My feeling is that with these owners, whoever comes in, they're managing with one hand tied behind their back. Doesn't really, you're looking at levels, aren't you? Whoever comes in, whether it's Conte or Ange, they've got no chance with these owners.
But they've got more of a chance than Ange, though, right? I mean, at least Jose got us to a cup final, and at least Conte.
And then he got sacked because Levy wanted top 4, and Jose wanted to leave players out against Southampton.
But I'd rather be in that scenario than what we are in now, though, right?
It's a poor scenario now. The problem is, and thinking about yesterday, you talk about the inconsistency. You look at 1.5 games of United and Brighton, and then the next 1.5 games of Brighton and Palace, and they're just two extremes. And what worries me is that there's no backbone. There are no leaders there, and it's all down to individual brilliance or or bursts of 3 goals in 10, 15 minutes. I can't, he must tell the coaches, this is how I want it, go and train them like that.
Yeah.
I don't think we're inconsistent. I think we're consistently crap when teams put us under pressure, and we're consistently good when teams let us play. There's no in between. It's either one extreme or the other. It's the weirdest situation ever.
Because Lee, it's not weird. It's not weird. He doesn't adapt to the moments where the game flips on us. He doesn't change the way we go about nullifying their change. It's like chess. When one team makes their move, you can't keep playing the same way because they've made that move to counter the way you play. You've now got to counteract that. Mourinho was the best at it. Mourinho was the number one at that ever.
Yeah, he's a tactical genius, Mourinho, at adapting.
In his prime, of course. In his prime.
But Ange effectively says, we never change, mate. And he proved that at Chelsea, right? Same tactics, everyone on the halfway line. Regardless
he
of
proved
what was
it in
going
the
to
94th minute against Crystal Palace, passing the ball out from the back. Sava asks a good question. He says, panel, with Amorim joining United, who finishes higher, Spurs or United? Can I just say, before you lot answer, I said to Ian, and I've been saying it every week when we talk about the Europa Cup, because Ian thinks we've got a good chance. And by the way, we're the bookies' favourite, somehow we're the bookies' favourite of winning the Europa. I said, don't write off Man United. If they drop Ten Hag and another manager comes in, it's going to be game on for them. Don't write them off yet. Now Amorim's come to United. I fear Man United in that competition if we play them now.
Yeah,
now
me
I
too.
fear them. So
Me too.
I think well, let's see what he does with these players, because a lot of people say the Man United players aren't actually that good. I personally think with Man United 2 points behind us, I think they probably do finish above us this season. Only just.
I think it all depends on how he sets them up. I think however he comes in and sets them up will expose whether it's the players or the way that Ten Hag, because we give praise to Ten Hag right before he joined Man United, but it's all his fault apparently. But I think that'll expose it. Is it the players, or if he gets a tune out of these players, the same squad, and they get playing and they start getting results, then 100% I wouldn't take Ten Hag if people ask me, do you want Ten Hag now if he's not at United? Because then it's him, innit?
It's different though, right? Like, it doesn't matter whether they blame him or not. The fact is that he's won them 2 trophies. Man United want better, so they got rid of him.
Grass ain't always greener.
Yeah. It's about one serious
levels, isn't it?
One serious elite football club, and one, don't know,
property business. That's
right. One entertainment club.
Yeah,
massive. You're talking different levels here between United and Tottenham. Forget where United have been for the last few years. They're still winning trophies,
even in their crappiest times, right?
It was the same with the Gooners. Wenger was coming to the end of his days. He still won 3 or 4 FA Cups.
Yeah.
Different, it's.
I think Daniel Levy. I think Levy's completely broken the culture of this club. Like, he's decimated the culture of this club.
That's his job completely, isn't it?
He's taken the soul out of the club. He's destroyed the soul of this club.
Job complete.
That's what he's done. Him and Lewis, between them. That's what they've done.
But Ian,
but we've let them in.
Really frustrates me is why aren't the older generations who are still around,
because they've been priced out.
Putting up a fight. Well, yeah, apart from being priced out, putting up a fight. I mean, like they're the type that age group probably is more likely to join the supporters trust. So why aren't they, as a democracy in that trust, putting pressure on the trust to bloody do something about it?
They treat the trust like shit. In my opinion,
the trust don't do anything apart from send emails.
What do you want them to do? What do you want them to do, Maz? Tell me. What do you want them to do?
I'll tell you exactly what I'd like them to do. I would like them to organise a boycott.
They had this fan advisory board who weren't even consulted about season ticketing and match day ticket increases.
Then organise a boycott. Then organise protests.
He hates the fans. Look at
Ian. Can I
look
ask you
at
a question?
Roma.
Right,
It's charging.
Ian.
I'm paying. Hang on.
Ian.
I'm paying £81 for my tickets for Roma.
You choose. You
£81.
choose to say that.
Yeah, but
You
Ian,
choose to pay
you're
it.
not answering. You're not answering
choose
my
to pay it.
question, right? Right. The trust has a membership, right? I don't know how many thousands members they've got, right?
20,000.
They can organise. It's within their power to organise a boycott of certain games, right? It's within their power to create leaflets, as an example, to hand out to make awareness of the boycott. It's within their power to organise a protest, right? It's within their power to drum up, let's say, media attention about the issues if they really wanted to because of the size of their membership. They're not doing anything like that. Nothing like that. What they're doing is sending emails, right? They need to start acting like a pressure group does.
Yeah.
That's how they need to start behaving, right? A bit like what some of the, well, what they're bloody called, the trade unions are doing, you know, with like the train strikes and stuff like that. But they're not behaving like that. They're just behaving like, oh, please, Daniel Levy, help us out. You know, like what the fuck is that all about? Like, are you a trust or you're not a trust? Are you gonna use the muscle of the membership against the club to help win concessions back and lower the ticket prices and try and get the club to work with the fans? Or are you not?
So your opinion of the trust is because they're not militant and because you don't see various headlines coming out, you think they don't do anything?
No, look, there's a time and a place for certain actions, right? And we're 24 years down the track, right? And the actions have got worse, not better. Right, so they've softened as a trust as opposed to gone the other way. So
What you need are the fans in the ground on match day, en masse, singing like they did after when we were getting beaten 3-0 against United, because that's what hurts. He doesn't.
The trust can organise that, right?
He has got the skin of a rhinoceros. Could not give a damn about people and what they say.
No, we got to.
This is what we have had as a chairman. I told you what he said to me at the AGM. I got up, I introduced myself to ask a question, introduced myself, been going to Spurs since this was 2006 or 2007. Been going since 65. Season ticket holder since 81. Been going away and in Europe since 72. So surely that buys me a little bit of goodwill as a fan that's probably been to 80-90%. In those days, last century, I was going to 90% of all the matches. I was going home and away all over Europe. I stood up and said, what justifies, with no Champions League, a season ticket increase of just under 58%? And his answer should have been, as chairman of a public company, really appreciate the sort of fan you are. We need loyal fans like you. You're the lifeblood of the club. No. Looked up and said, it's a privilege for you to come and see your team. And that tells you everything about the sort of person that we have as a chairman. He hates the fans.
With the trust?
He hates the fans. But the senior citizens who have been season ticket holders for up to 50 years.
And this is why, Ian, right? This
having
is why
their discounts taken away.
The trust needs, Ian, I understand your point, right? But this is why the trust needs to be militant, because these are the type of people, you've made my point. This is the type of people we're dealing with. This is why the trust needs to galvanize the fan base. They'll probably increase their membership if they did this, by the way, as well, right? And start putting certain things in place to win back some things that have been lost, i.e. senior ticket concessions, match day prices, etc. Then I would like to see them organise protests in the way that the club is run. Otherwise, What the hell is the point of the trust? So it might as well be an old boys club. We might as well meet up there and go and have a pint when we're retired.
Can I add to this, right? The Spurs Supporters Trust, what it was set up for, a bit like the NHS, what it was set up for doesn't now suffice for what is going on in life. No, the NHS was set up so that it could give free medical care to people that were coming back that fought in World War II. Right? It was set up for them. But then people were saying, well, it's not fair. Why do the war heroes get treatment and we don't? So then it opened up to everyone. Now it's become more than emergency aid and medical care. It's social services, it's GPs, it's become far bigger than what it ever set up to be. What the trust first set up to be was communication between fans and the club, and to help out with ticketing issues, to help out with our travel to away games being safe, to give fans a voice in the club. What it's now become is a political entity that is driven by political agendas, not true footballing matters. Example, they refused to come to the Levy out protest. They refused to come to the European Super League protest. But because Newcastle were taken over by a Middle Eastern ownership that didn't have the same values as us Brits, they set up a protest opposite the stadium to protest against the owners of Newcastle. What the fuck was that about? And that's why Martin and Kat ended up being basically essentially stepping down, because they got slaughtered by people like me and many other fans that called them out on that. How dare you protest about another club and ignore our club? You don't want to protest, but yet you protest about Newcastle. Now there's a new person running the Spurs Supporters Trust. They've been a little bit more active, saying, you know, we're not happy with the prices. We're going to write more letters. We're going to write more emails. If, as you say, the fan advisory board is being ignored, then all the Spurs Supporters Trust members on that fan advisory board should step down. But they stay there. Why? If you're being ignored, why are you still there? Walk. And regarding this thing about the ticket prices going up, why don't they market the crap out of holding a boycott? Tell all the fans, we need to do something about this once and for all. The only way we're going to fight ticket prices is by taking their ticket price money away. Let's boycott and send a message. And if they don't get it, we boycott again. But instead, what do? They go on the last word of Spurs, who refuse to protest, who refuse to boycott, who won't dare say the words Levy out because they shit themselves.
They should have.
Ian, Maz has got a point. The Spurs Supporters Trust is not fit for purpose when it comes to matters regarding Levy and Enoch. They shouldn't get involved because they're useless at it. And they always side with the wrong people. They play it safe, and playing it safe won't change anything at this club. That's what I've seen for the last 3 years from them. I think
they don't want to lose their privilege access. That's what it is.
They shit themselves because they're politicized, Lee. They're a political movement now. They're not a fan representation. They're a political movement. That's what they've become. They're so worried about what everyone thinks of them. Fuck that. Do what's right for the club. If you've got an issue with tickets, let's do something about it. But instead, we're going to write an email. We're going to write a letter. We're going to go on last word on Spurs. What has that done? What has that achieved? I don't know, man.
And with them Thursday nights, the trust are putting on a David Pleat evening.
Get them on the show, Ian. Get them on the show. Ask them.
I'll ask Martin to come on. He came on Brian's show.
Come on.
He came on Brian's show.
Ask Martin to come on. We'll be respectful. We won't be rude or angry. We will ask some serious questions and put forward questions regarding the lack of action, just to see what he says and why they're not doing it. I think
just for the record, I'm not blaming you, by the way. So if you
I
come in
I blame you for everything.
I'm not blaming
Ian,
you.
you're at fault for Archie Gray, for Birdball, for Ange.
I do blame you for Ange, by the way, and Gray. And
That's blaming me for supporting the Archie Gray signing.
Generational.
Can I be honest here? I'm going to defend Ian and Ian's generation a bit here to say that if I was Ian's age or older, like Graham, that I don't know if you're the same age, but if I was that age, personally, I don't think I'd be protesting and boycotting on the basis that at that age, I just want a bit of peace, man. You know, I've been working all my life, I've been running around.
Yeah,
It's
but
down
you
to
want to go to the
down to-
game. You want to
it's down
go
to-
to the game. You want to get priced out.
I'm not. No, I get it, but it should be down to the 40-year-olds, the 30-year-olds, the 20-year-olds.
No,
Listen,
that's
all
not
these
the point I was
20-year-olds
trying to
they
make.
take to
though,
the
Phil.
streets. They take to the streets. All these 20 and 30-year-olds, they take to the
I agree.
streets to protest
So-
about the Middle East. Well,
The
why can't we take to
reason
the
why
streets
I
about
went-
the club we support? You know?
Yeah, no. So the reason why I went along the angle as a slightly older generation, and I'm included in that, right? Is that they're the fans that know the history of Spurs and they know what we were like as a club in the past. Therefore, they have a much stronger tie to the club and a vested interest. But you're right; it should be all age groups. It's not an age thing. It should be everyone should have a vested interest in getting Spurs back to the way we were.
And that's what
Also-
hurts me, Maz. That is what hurts me, is the fact that our older fans who are now getting priced out of it, purely because the fact that these guys have been there from time, have seen us in those good times, and now that they've given us their loyal support for all those years and up till now,
I
and we
agree.
piss on them with prices. So there was a protest last year or the year before, kind of like when it was first announced, right? And I was quite aggravated about it. So I went to that on the match day, and there was literally no one there. I did a video from outside there, where it was supposed to be. There was a banner on the wall, "Save our OAPs" or something like that, and that was it. A banner on the wall. There was no one there at the protest. It was appalling. And
I agree.
that absolutely pisses me off big time about that.
I agree.
Because one day I'm going to be the old person, right? And this is the club I love.
Yeah, I agree.
Supporting Spurs has aged me, believe me.
Do you know, I could handle. All right, I could handle losing league titles and cup finals quite often if I could see that the club, with the money it now generates. Do you know, on a match day we generate more than Real Madrid? Can you fucking believe that? We generate more than Real Madrid. If I could see, honestly, if I could see my club it had a plan with the right people in place that was investing in the right players of decent quality, and we were genuinely knocking on the door, like almost like we were with Poch until we sabotaged it. If I could see that, I would be very, very accepting of my Tottenham Hotspur. But when I see Timo Werner sign, Johnson, Odeberts, kids that don't even come off the bench, defenders for 30 million that sit on the bench, Solankis, Richarlisons, I'm like, fuck off. Just get the start. Just piss off. What are we paying for?
With
What are we
those type
paying
of
for?
revenues, I'd just
You know-
settle for like good quality toilet paper and the shitters, because the stuff that they putting in there was rancid last time I went. It's like tracing paper, but you know, whatever.
Yeah, but it's on the pitch.
Start at
Lee.
the bottom.
You went for a
It's on the
shit
pitch.
Spurs.
It's on
Yeah,
the
you
pitch.
have to. Sometimes you just have to, don't you? You just have to. Sneaked out
No,
on the
I-
87th minute because it was like
You're
5-0.
disgusting, Lee. You're disgusting, mate.
Where I sit, everyone at half time goes in the cubicle to have a smoke. So you can't, even if you wanted to, you couldn't go at half time. You'd have to go during the match.
Yeah, nice one. Grass.
Yeah,
Just
so,
an
I'm
interesting
when I
observation.
go, I'm at the top, not down there with you
Totally grassed them all up now. right?
worthless cretins. Only the best.
Guys, anyone putting free Palestine, anything to do with the Middle East, Israel, whatnot? I'm just putting you in blocks and bans. Please don't start that. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, guys, let's wrap it up. Wednesday night, Man City at the Lane. We've got no idea what the teams are going to be like. Will Spurs put a full team strength out? Will Man City go B team? Does it matter? Will Spurs go semi-strong? No idea. What's your thinking for this one? I think we're going to beat them, on penalties. I think we're going to. I just think Ange catches life. That's the only reason. No logic, no analysis or logical thinking. I just think Ange is going to catch a bit of life. That's all. Anyone else want to go?
I've got no
if he's
idea
get-
what Spurs are going to turn up. Like
No.
it could be off. It doesn't. I don't think it matters what team we put out. I just who knows who's going to turn up.
It'll probably be another get out of jail free card for Ange, and it'll sustain him for another 3 matches, another couple of losses or something. But I don't. Even if Man City's B team turns up, I think that's still too much for us, especially if they apply the pressure. I think that'll be another Crystal Palace, but. You know, we can't keep calling Man City. We can't keep being Man City's bogey team when they've already beat us at the Lane now. So that's all washed out. That's gone. It's a level playing field now.
So you mean they won't be trying, Lee?
Yeah. They'll just turn up.
They've knocked that one on the head, so they won't be trying.
Guys,
I actually think, is it penalties or is it a replay? It's penalties, then, is it?
straight to penalties. No extra time. Straight to penalties.
I think we'll nick it 2-1.
2-1, yeah. Anyone else? Or
I'm going.
What we do.
It's almost like we don't care. It's almost like we don't even care.
Well, it's what we do.
I just don't want a drubbing. I really don't. Not after Crystal Palace, we can't have a drubbing. But I think Man City
and not by their kids.
I think we lost 3-0. 3-0.
2-0 City. 2-0 City.
I'll tell you what, if we go out this cup, there's going to be problems, you know.
That'll be strike one, I'm afraid.
I think one of the things, though, still, it is against Man City, so I think a lot of people feel it as a free hit, I think.
We've still got 500 people.
They literally own that cup, you know that, right?
I just want to go home and watch The Phantom Menace.
I need. Whilst you go watch,
I hate that film.
Still, if Jose goes, if Jose is pushed out because he's prioritising the League Cup ahead of the Premier League, and we go out on Wednesday, what difference for Ange? He's not going to go out.
That was. We
know what the owners should think.
End of the season, though, that was closer to the business end of the season. This is a bit early on, isn't it? So, I just quickly want to say, there's still 500 people watching, right? Can you subscribe, please? Just go there for 30 seconds, then come back. Subscribe to the Football Heritage TV, because I can't listen to Sava anymore asking for these 13 extra subscribers to get him to 14k, right? Every show I go on with Sava, he's just short. Let's get him there.
Don't even have to leave, just open another tab, right?
So
that's a great point. I've just sent everyone away. What have I done? Can you open up another tab? Right? Go onto YouTube, type in the Football Heritage TV, and just subscribe. And then Sava won't have to ask anymore. How's about that?
I'm going to tell you something. Still, after the post that I've just seen Sava put, free Archie Graham playing, everybody's got to subscribe to Sava.
Twice.
He's a big Archie Gray fan. Definitely. Subscribe, guys.
Archie Gray, the deal breaker. Come on.
Sava, let number 6 on Wednesday. Let him play.
Free Gray.
Enough of pursuit of Benson Corstar. Do you know what? Our midfield's been shit for a year. Let's stick these kids in.
That's what Levy heard.
Enough of it.
Levy heard, right? Free Gray.
You know what, Ian? I actually agree with you. I just want to see something different now.
Yeah. Enough. Put Boval in.
Yeah.
Give the guy a chance.
Yeah, you want to be watching the blue shirt then, Maz.
Yesterday we were on Sava's show before kickoff, and he had 800 people watching, something like that. And he said to them, all you've got to do is go into the comments, type the word Spursy, and you automatically go into a draw. And in that draw, 2 of you will get free tickets to Spurs. He was giving away 2 free tickets, okay?
What are you waiting for?
Mate. Oh, no, wait. Just so you can understand, not even 10% of the audience did it to go in the draw. You can't even give them away. I was like, I think like 50 people put their name in the hat. I'm just thinking, wow.
I'll have him, Seth.
Yeah, Lee will have him.
Do you know what? I don't think it was the fact that give away tickets isn't Sava going to be there as well? Wasn't it more to do with that? I don't know.
Oh, right.
I'm sure he says something about you got, we'll see. Hopefully that doesn't
was
hinder my chances.
Everybody,
free that weekend.
You'd have to. There's a caveat. You've got to sit next to Sava for 90 minutes and listen to his PowerPoint presentation on Archie Gray. So that's how it goes. Alrighty, I think that's it. Big thank you to the super chats and to the new members: Spartan, Huddersfield Town, Soulboy, Tin Man, Tom81, Tony Rodriguez, Michael. I like the way he puts from Poland. Michael from Poland, Tommy, and to the Assassinator. Big up to everyone in the chat tonight. Appreciate every single one of you. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel as well. Hit the notification bell so you know next time we're live. Make sure you get Sava to 14,000 subscribers. Also, don't forget, Wednesday night, I think it's 10:30, unless it goes to penalties and it's a bit later. But the plan is 10:30. Spurs v Man City, our late night post-match analysis show. Should be a good one, I hope. If not, it'll be a toxic one of the two. Boys, final words, anything you want to say, or should we just wrap it up and say good night, everyone? Thanks for watching, as always. Appreciate everyone watching.
I'm done. No words left.
Come on, you Spurs.
Good night, everyone. Thanks
Come
for
on,
watching.
Spurs. Guys, thanks for watching. Thank you for supporting the cause, and we'll be back on Wednesday.
Come on,
Peace.
you Spurs.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away.